All right, y'all. Welcome to All Politics are Local, America's number
One.
one political hip hop radio talk show. Y'all know if it's Friday, y'all know it's time for All Politics are Local. But more importantly, y'all know if it's the fourth Friday, y'all know it's time for the disciples. So they're gonna be coming up first. Forgive my voice. With this weather going in and out, I don't know how to dress. I'm trying to do something about it, so hopefully it doesn't go out over the night. But I'll try to do as less talking as possible so I can preserve it until John gets here or some of the other folks get here. But of course, the disciples are going to be up first. And then, of course, Zaid, what's coming up at 7?
Uh, Jonathan has a guest, and I'm looking for our brother's name. Oh man, he's a sharp scholar out of Chicago. Uh, put a cap on our Black History Month conversations. I can't put my name. I feel terrible. I can't put my hand on his name.
Well,
But
it says Dr. Lionel Kimble.
that's him, Dr. Lionel Kimble Jr. Yes, him.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
So what I'm seeing of him so far, I'm very impressed with. Looking forward to that conversation. After that, our own here at Essex County College in Newark, Professor Akil Khalfani will be hosting his annual symposium on traditional African faith and spirituality on March 21st. He's going to brief us on what that's going to look like, and of course, he's been had some very profound recent trips to the continent. I'm sure he'll have some additional things that he'll want to share with us. And I have to also apologize. My voice is also
I think that's getting on. I think that's coming on all of us, man. It's going through.
compromised too.
Huh?
Yeah, I am also compromised with my voice. We're
Yeah.
gonna round the show out with the great Pam Africa and Sophia Williams, who will talk about all things Mumia. And I'll be curating some conversations all year round because this year is also the 60th anniversary of the Black Panther Party, and I'm you know among others, pushing our veteran elders and their cubs to make sure that we use the energy of the 60th anniversary to drive as much attention and support to the plight of our political prisoners who are Panthers like Mumia Abu Jamal. So that'll round out our conversation, and hopefully the great DJ Rhino will join us. We've missed DJ Rhino for a minute too.
Yeah. So, but if not, man, we'll try to press on and talk a little bit about Minister Farrakhan and Savior's Day.
Yeah,
You-
yeah, yeah. And I'm really hoping Hawk can get on because I'm sure he was there. Give
Yeah.
us a first-hand report.
So I'd like to talk about that because at 92, he
92,
stayed on
still
his book.
hanging in there.
Yeah. So hope we can get to that and have some conversation around that. So while we wait for the disciples, did you get a chance to see the president's
Oh,
State of the Union address?
I was in a laundromat washing clothes and glad that I missed every single moment.
Yeah.
I did see because it was online afterwards a little bit of the People's State of the Union address.
Right, right.
I actually had been trying to get our outgoing Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman to come on with Nadia Morrissey to come back on because they had each other and they had their own moment on that, and of course Congresswoman LaMonica McIver participated in that too. But so I did see some of that, and no, I couldn't just sit and watch that for that foolishness. I couldn't
Yeah,
think of a better time to do my laundry.
I didn't get an opportunity to see it either. But Bashir told me it was insane, man. You know,
Very divisive. I mean, the footage from it is terrible.
yeah,
Somebody tried to grab Congress Green's
yeah.
sign.
They escorted him out, man. You
They
know,
arrested.
or they arrested him. Oh
No,
wow.
not him. It was a sister from Minneapolis. Name was Aaliyah Rahman. Disabled sister. Walks with a cane, survived a horrible auto accident, who was wrongly yanked out of her car and arrested and had both of her the tendons and both of her shoulders torn up by ICE in Minneapolis.
Wow.
wrongly arrested. She was a guest of Ilhan Omar,
Okay.
Congressman Ilhan Omar. They arrested her in the damn Capitol.
So she wasn't even, was she able to make it to the State of the Union
She
speech?
was there. She was in the proceeding, and at some point she stood up,
Right.
and they commenced to grabbing on her. I
Wow.
mean, the poor woman had been through hell already as it is, and had her health compounded with problems by virtue of what they did to her on top of the disability that she was already dealing with. It was horrible. It's a hugely one of the most divisive moments in this racist country's history,
Wow.
modern history, I would dare say. Yeah,
I
I
didn't
mean,
hear anything
there's no
about that, man.
quorum, none of that. This is all of that is gone. We'll tell our kids to really get ready to defend themselves on these streets from these fools too, because this energy is like that.
Zai, I didn't hear anything about that. You know?
Yeah, because that's not the kind of thing that's going to be centered in
Yeah.
regular media, right? And that's one, we need to have a media conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
All that, we do in the alternative sources of information that we get from other alternative media sources, the pass that is given to Trump and the right wing
Right.
is abominable.
Yeah.
Absolutely abominable. I think someone is joining us who looks like
Yes. Good evening, good evening, good evening,
Good
good
evening,
evening, good
Roundtree.
evening. Good evening. And it is an honor to be on our favorite All Politics Are Local America's, to me, America's Black African American, Black led, Black produced. I'm proud to be Black and proud of being from Newark and to be part of the disciples on the show called The Disciples, that the wisdom of Minister Abdul Haq Muhammad and the brains
yes.
of Brother Ed Riley came together and said, we're going to do this with our beloved Pastor Brian Ali. God rest his
Long
soul,
live,
his
long
beautiful
live.
bride, Balena Ali, and none
Yeah,
other than the Honorable Minister Abdul Haq Muhammad. Just celebrated Savior's Day. We're in the middle of Ramadan and Lent,
I'm
which
just breaking
since the
fast.
1500s has started together. I want y'all to know you're traveling with me to the Dominican Independence celebration. Just came from outside of raising Maryland.
All
Me,
right.
I'm gonna let you guys go. I don't know whether my other two folks are. Um, yeah. So it's in your hands, Brother
Yeah.
Ed.
Yeah. I mean, I have not. I mean, Roundtree. I don't know where your co-hosts are. I mean, they haven't said they weren't showing up or they weren't coming through.
I know, but you know what I'm gonna start doing? I'm gonna
What's that?
start doing what I said I was gonna do. I'm gonna
What's that?
make sure that I get our guests lined up and send the names to both of them.
All
Yeah.
right.
Because as you know, I started started some Newark episodes of a television program called News and Views, Faith and Community with Reverend Louise Scott-Rountree. So
How did they
yeah,
go? How was
Councilwoman
your
at
first
large.
show?
So I'm bringing it to chapter 78. Huh?
How was your first show?
Did you I did
How
four
was your
episodes
first show?
already. They haven't started airing yet.
Oh, it
Okay.
has.
Yes, I
Okay.
had the mayor's my first guest. They haven't aired yet, but I'm going to let you guys know. I'm going to send you all of the information as soon as we begin to air. And then I'll probably have those guests come on so they can talk about, we're in Women's History Month right now. So the
That's
First Lady will
exciting.
be taping with me on March 5th to be on the first show, First Lady Linda Baraka. And I think I mentioned to you guys, I'm going to do some entrepreneur and some health um, presentations for our women in our second show. And then our third episode, I am working on getting Jasmine Crockett and LaMonica Nakaiba to power houses. Of course, I'll
Yeah.
have to satellite Congresswoman
Crockett wins this
Crockett.
election. That would be a
Oh yeah,
serious.
I'm looking. That'll be sometime towards the middle of March. That show. But yeah, it's gonna be serious. Listen, I'm not in this to play. Not at this stage of the game. You
Yeah.
know, not at this age. I'm not in this. When God offers you a platform, when Baba has a platform, Baba speaks what a truth he needs to speak to power. based on what God has instilled in him. When you have to speak, my beloved brother Ed, when you have to speak, whether it be on legal, whether it be on promotion, whether it be on media, I mean, you speak truth to power on a different level, but we all are speaking to the powers that be to let them know that there are certain things that we will not stand by and not have a voice in, because there's some folks out there that won't say nothing. So somebody got to be the voice for the voices,
That's
That's
right.
right.
and not just in domestic violence, not just in violence, period, not just in mental health. Not There's so many areas that people just don't say nothing, you
Right.
know, and that's what we do. As we speak, of course, the mayor's men's meeting is going on.
I hear somebody singing "Lift Every
June,
Voice and Sing."
huh?
I could hear somebody singing the Black National Anthem, singing "Lift Every Voice and
No, she
Sing."
wasn't singing that. You heard something different. But I'm ready to go get us some guests out of here. Y'all
Yes,
just go
ma'am.
ahead, put me on mute. I'm going to get some guests from this event I'm at. Give me 1 second.
All
All
right. I'm
Oh man, we got a shout out from across the big pond.
who's that?
A young man from London. He's what I call a chapter and verse Malcolmite.
Mm, mm.
Like a whole lot of young black men from 1965 on. He studies Malcolm chapter and verse,
Yeah.
and we follow each other on Twitter for the most part. Brother Kevin, I see you, right? Checking in from across the big pond, all the way from London, England.
That's where he's from.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We got
Wow.
a lot of our people in London, and Malcolm lit that city up. A lot of people up there. Everybody talk about his Hajj,
Yeah.
right? Shoot, Malcolm, all them black folks and them Asian folks that were in London in the decolonial era, he lit that town up several times.
And most of those brothers in London are directly from Africa, right? The Caribbean.
Windrush people from the Caribbean
Yeah. Right.
after World War II, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Right, a lot of folks from the African continent, yes. A lot of South Asian brothers too. A lot of there's a whole lot of looking like us
Yeah.
in that big town.
That's why they got a strong black community out there, man.
Yeah, strong on reparations too. Very strong on reparations. And I had this young brother who's got a book out on Malcolm. We had him out here a few months ago. Kahindi Andrews. This young brother is a child of Garveyites. The parents had a Garvey organization in London. When they settled, they put that together. I think that goes back as far back as the early 50s, right? So we got our folk. We summer everywhere. The global black family is a Pan-African affair.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That was very refreshing to hear a shout from Mr. K, brother Kevin,
Yeah.
across the big pond.
So,
right?
so Zaid, did you get an opportunity to see Savior's Day?
No, I didn't get a chance. I didn't get a chance to plug into it at all. I'm just seeing some of the posts that I mean, one of the things I did see, I have been seeing a little bit on social media, right? But there have been check out little brother lifting up the look at it. Malcolm gave his speech in November 1964 entitled "OAU Homecoming" about the parts of nigga. That's right. And he did that right after he came back. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
He's lifting up Malcolm. That's my little brother. I appreciate it. But I've been watching some of the young people, and I mean, considerably younger than us, and that's healthy. The nation has gotten younger too. Young junior FOIs and young MGTs and young folks trying to get their little cipher on.
Yeah, I saw that too.
I've seen it. That's the kind of stuff I've seen. I haven't seen any of the proceedings.
Yeah,
I've seen pictures. I saw some of the pictures when Minister Farrakhan and Sister Khadijah was lifted up. She just turned 90, from what I understand.
he did.
That's between them, that's 182 years of living.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a lot of living.
yeah. And the thing is though, the question I had for Hawk, if he jumps on tonight, my question is did because remember the minister didn't teach. He let Ishmael teach.
Yeah. Okay.
And so
Okay.
the question is he hasn't taught at the last two Saviors Day. So the question is did he was he passing the torch, which is what it looked like. I'm not, no one has said that, but looked like he was passing the torch to Ishmael, and that was a question I wanted to have.
Yeah. That's a timely question. It's definitely a
Yeah.
timely question.
Because even with the homegoing of Jesse Jackson, his son took over the Rainbow Push Coalition. He's now the president. The youngest son is
Okay.
now the president of Rainbow Push Coalition.
His
So
daughter was at the memorial that was done for Claudette Colvin a few weeks ago, and he slips out of here right behind that.
mhm, yeah, so
You
you know
know, of
that's
course.
a question I wanted to get at,
Yeah.
and wanted to ask that question. Your brother's hitting you up again.
He's right. He's absolutely right. That's right. That's right, Kevin. That's right. As far back as the late 1890s, and the first uh, Pan African Conference was in London in 1900. He's absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yeah, we get some shout outs in the chat. Yeah, well, Brother William Hathaway talking about we should be supporting our youth. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm trying to figure out how to do that and the breath that I got left in my behind.
Yeah,
Uh,
you gotta. I mean, we remember we're trying that by getting young people to vote on the school board. You know, but it's
yes.
difficult to get these young people motivated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Although, remember, we had some young folks on, what was it, 2 weeks ago, who
Mm-hmm.
got these different organizations
So I'm
around
back.
policy and so forth, you know?
Mm-hmm. What you got? What you got?
So I'm back, everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
Once again,
Okay.
I got with me a young man named Humberto. He runs a nonprofit. He is now a new City Council office of Councilwoman Reverend Louise Scott-Rountree. I'm going to bring Humberto on. I took him off assignment to come and join the audience to talk about the work that he does with Mentor You, the work that he used to do at Rutgers, and the work that he is now doing with the city council member at large. Humberto, would you please join us?
Welcome, welcome.
And this
Good
Umberto,
is
come
evening.
on.
Welcome, Roberto. Good, well, good to
my
have you with
show.
us.
How we doing?
All right.
What's happening? Talk to us about what you do, Alberto.
Yes, my name is Dr. Bacarizo. I have a nonprofit here in Newark that supports our youth in different parts of academic excellence. We try to have a conference in STEM to make sure the students are exposed to the STEM field in different areas, as well as STEM and business, because business is also part of the STEM as we trying to go into financial technology and accounting technology and things like that. While STEM is also medicine and dentistry and anything in the health field. Because you don't have a good foundation in your sciences, you're unable to continue the work that we need you to do in the STEM in order to have the skills of the 21st century.
I mean, how do you recruit these young people?
We go to the community events, churches, high schools, and what we do is we have a list of the counselors in New Jersey schools, and everybody gets an email from us. And it's hard to get students to get excited sometimes because they don't get to see a flyer or an email. But those who take the initiative are part of our commitment to them that they not only accept us and trust us to keep them in the right track and to succeed academic excellence, but also be part of the family, a bigger family that they have beyond their family that they have overall. We have people who are mentors from different fields, from doctors to lawyers to engineers, to social sciences, to psychiatrists. We have construction, civil, electrical engineers as well, people in the business field. So we have a family of people who are committed give back to the next generation of our students and to provide a mentorship, support, guidance, and move, I don't know, show them the steps on because applying for succeeding in high school is one step, applying for college, succeeding in college is a second step, and then after that is your career development. And we also do that as well on trying to make sure that they have the skills or they have a mentor or they have somebody they can talk to as they continue their professional journey in the workforce.
And how long have you guys been around?
It's our 6th year. Our gala will be this April. We started around COVID, believe it or not. We
Mm.
launched around the COVID time, trying to do a community conference on where we bring people together, especially the families. The families will have like some kind of uh, resource center, and the students will be able to go to a conference. But then COVID happened, and when COVID happened, we changed our mission a little bit in trying to fight COVID and trying to fight miscommunication and the fear that COVID had in the community. So we got a grant to the federal government to make sure that our students that we already scheduled to be part of our program become ambassadors in the community. They help out with vaccines. They help out with information. They did flyers in multiple languages. They did videos to make sure that the community was aware and alert that COVID-19 was something that we can overcome, but we're informed and we work together.
But the question I was asking you, Alberto, how long have you guys been around?
Excuse me?
How long have you guys been around?
6 years.
6 years?
6 years
Yeah.
this April.
And where you located at?
Yeah, 6.
And where are you located at?
I don't know if he heard you.
I can hear you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, where are you located at?
We're here in the city of the great of New Jersey, city of Newark, and this is our base. But we have students from all over the U.S. as well. So we have mentees in Ohio, we have mentees in Florida, we have mentees in Chicago, we have mentees in California, in Texas. So it depends on where they are here, and then we make them make sure they spread their wing and find opportunities wherever the U.S. kind of provides.
Well, let me ask you this, Umberto, if I can. Right, the places that you named are very different in what's going on with their contemporary political landscape. Chicago is arguably this country's most radical city, for example, and they are very unapologetic in their efforts to resist all of the hostility coming from the national government. Meanwhile, you look at places like Texas and Ohio, they're being inundated with the hostility, and it's the playing field is different. How are the students from your different cities relating to each other in terms of managing the challenges of the hostility that we're getting from the government now?
Good question.
I think that has similar uh, experiences that regardless if it's Minnesota and the attack on our people in Minnesota itself on the civil rights, or whether it's Newark, where people are cramming into cars and creating accidents around the community, or
Yeah,
where it's
yeah,
Chicago and arresting people, we all have fears and we all have the same experience, regardless of our immigration status. Because you can be undocumented or you can be a citizen and you still have fear. So the idea for us is to provide a Zoom, a communication, a discussion, an open conversation that, hey, I'm here, you need me. Because at the end of the day, that support system, that connection that we lost during COVID-19 is the one that is keeping us together and supporting each other through this experience.
yeah. Right on to that. Right on to that. Right on to that. How can folks follow your nonprofit?
I know
What
that
page?
we see lines in the state, but I see that we all suffering the same regard we are, and fear and the atrocity and the lack of civil rights of our communities and keeping people in jail, regardless of you are in the U.S., you're fearful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How, Umberto, how can we follow you? Pardon me.
But we also do like this Monday have a reading day. The mentors come out and read to your kid because we'll what we try to do is to make sure that we reach excellence, and I start at the early levels. So reading is one of those, and making sure that we go to the schools and connect with the students and say, hey, you can be one of us in here, the panel or in the on the conference or at the stage, because we were in your place, we were in your seat. We never knew something, but somebody inspired, somebody gave us a hand, somebody told us something different than some other place, and that will inspire us to do better, to stay in school, to get a degree, and that's the idea behind going to schools to inspire the future generation because sometimes they don't see role models like themselves. When parents are working two jobs and grandma's taking care of the kids and people may not have higher education, they don't see other people like themselves around them. The people who are got a profession, succeeding, whether they own a business, whether they get a degree, or whether they have a vocational school. The idea is to do something and to empower them, giving them the tools for them to succeed in life.
Mhm, mhm. How can we follow your work, Umberto?
Yes, you can follow our website is mentoruconnect.com, or is our Instagram is mentor you connect, the same thing as Facebook. It's mentor mentor you letter you connect connect.
.com?
Yes.com.
Okay. I'm gonna put that up right now.
So you said mentoryouthconnect.com?
Mentor you, the letter U.
Yeah.
Mentor you. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are located at Newark. You've been around for 6 years, and uh, who are some of your greatest successes, right? Because I think Roundtree was saying that you guys were at Rutgers, which is also my alumni, and as well as Zaid's alumni.
Yeah.
You know,
So yeah, Rockers is my past employer. What I did there is to support our diversity initiatives and programs that we have. The idea was to have more black males involved. Right now, the numbers are skewed small, and the same thing for Hispanics. Right now, it's 5% of all minority students or all medical students are minority, and that's not enough for our population who needs the care. That's not enough for our population who have a health disparity, who have a language challenges. Enough for the people who live in our own communities. So we have to make sure that we have more urban community doctors, the people who look like us, to be taking care of us in the doctor's office.
no,
Hmm.
you're absolutely right. I mean, 5%. I don't, when I was there, it was a lot more, African American students and Latino students when I was there. And you're saying it's only 5% now. And is that
Yeah,
at the
it's 5%.
Brunswick branch as well as the North?
5.2% population is over 50% in the U.S. minority. Only 5% of the population are taking care of our communities.
Oh, his connection is
And
terrible.
sometimes we have needs that depends on our background and challenges that only one doctor will know. If you're a doctor from Ghana, you know what a Ghanaian person will need: the love, the attention, the sense of family. You don't just go into a doctor's office nice and cool and say, "Excuse me, what you need," move on. We have cultural competencies in our community because we care about communities as cultural communities. Whether we're in Caribbean or in Latin America, faith, care, and you don't see that in today's.
His connection is terrible. I hear where he's trying to go.
His connection is not yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so is that the same thing at New Brunswick? It's only 2%, 5% at New Brunswick as well?
It's 5% all across the U.S.
Out of all of wait a minute, out of all of the universities, only 5% is Latino and Black? I think he froze.
Yeah, he froze. He did. He did. Humberto, if you can hear us, go out. Oh, I don't know if that's he's on Rountree's connection.
Yeah.
She needs to go out and come back in.
Yeah. Well, you froze, Alberto. I don't know if you can hear us, but you froze. And so, when Roundtree come back, you have to give her the phone and tell her to come back in. But wow, that's I mean, he's right, Zaid, because when you
numbers are going down because the opportunities are going down.
Yeah. When you go see a doctor, of course, you'd love to be able to see, somebody who looks like you, somebody who understands, where you're coming from, and somebody who understands, what your health needs are. Of course, all of that's important. And so, but remember, we got a hostile government
right now, cutting all these programs and these opportunities and these pipelines. Absolutely.
So, and remember, he don't think that Black doctors are doctors anyway, right? So, he would definitely not be supporting anyone trying to keep young Black kids in school to be doctors. That's not something he would support, So, I mean, there's an uphill heaval going on with that.
Yeah.
Trying to get
sorry.
Like they're trying to come back.
Yeah, I put up. Yeah, it's the building you in. Unfortunately, those old school buildings.
Regardless of what school you go to, the law across the U.S. Of course, the HBCU schools, and they have HBCU medical schools that provide more of the minority students, especially African Americans, in the medical field, but not enough in the community as a whole.
Yeah. Alberto, we're having a difficult time hearing you because you're going in and out. And but it's that building, it's not you. I mean, that's the old Newark buildings, they were built in the bomb era,
Yeah, how about that?
So,
I will have Councilwoman Roundtree. Let's do another tape and discuss the issues of African Americans communities and the lack of school and education, and what we can do as community to make sure that they're prepared and they can succeed in life.
Okay.
Indeed.
Yep.
Okay. Let me go and find the Councilwoman. Hold on.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I see what he was saying. That was Google. I was doing some digging just as he was talking. That 5% of all doctors in this country are Black, and only 7% of all doctors in this country are Latinx. That's too small. It's too small. It's too small. Meanwhile, the U.S. government is trying to provoke and starve Cuban people in the Cuban Revolution.
Yeah.
Cuba is producing doctors all over the world, sharing their doctors all over the world. And if you can't get into medical school here in the United States behind money, you might be able to get into Cuba's medical school damn near free.
Yeah.
Right? I had to throw that in. You talk about doctors, let's talk.
Yeah, but you also see, I mean, right now, you see Rubio trying to, shut off oil to them. And, I mean, he's trying to just starve them out right now, man.
Definitely, he sure is. He definitely. The Cuban people are very resilient people. They didn't fight that revolution, for nothing.
Right.
So, I know they're resisting, and our solidarity matters now more than it's had in a long time. So, folks interested in support and doing support work around Cuba, now is definitely the time, because we need to turn this this environment, this political environment here in the United States, or as Jose Marti used to say, inside the monster around. That's our responsibility here in the United States. There's going to be a lot of activities coming up in support of Cuba too in the next month. The weekend of the 14th is the annual U.S. Cuba Normalization Committee conference that's going to take place in New York City. I don't have the location in front of me, but I always participate in that, and a lot of us who do Cuba work will be there to be sure. I got to get my big sister Rosemary Mealy back on. Paul Coates, you know who Paul Coates is Ed?
No. Who is
Paul
that?
Coates was an old Panther. He was in the Baltimore chapter of the party.
Okay.
He started Black Classic Press, and he just came back from Cuba. And I've never had Paul on the show. I want to reach out to that brother. He's a great brother. Black Classic Press is a very important Black publishing company for this particular era. They actually lift up a lot of our out of print books that are important, as well as doing new books, for this particular era. I'm trying to get the great Bill Sales, who gave us one of the best books on Malcolm, that's out of print, right? Bill, go talk to Paul and get your book back in print because we need it.
Is Professor Sales still in New York? Is he in Harlem?
No, he's in Peekskill.
Oh, okay.
He's in Peekskill. He's been in Peekskill for a while, and of course, he's very happily retired. One of his daughters went to medical school in Cuba.
Oh, wow.
And is a practicing doctor to this day.
Wow.
Right.
Love to talk to her.
We ain't making this stuff up. And I'm gonna tell you something. This is a difficult story. And I don't want to offend anybody when I tell it, but it happened. This is in the 90s, and around the time that we had Christine Whitman when she was governor, and she was running around trying to get the Cubans. She went to the Pope to get the Pope to try to get Fidel to give up Asada. And she also went to the Congressional Black Caucus to do that. And they were wishy-washy on it, right? And I raised some concern with our brother, the late Donald Payne Sr., not Jr., Sr., because when Donald Payne Sr. was on city council, when Asada was before Asada went on trial, he did a stellar study on jury selection throughout New Jersey, which revealed if there was any place where Asada should be tried facing a jury of her peers, it should have been right here in Essex County. Of course, they took all the way to Forest County, one of the whitest and the richest counties, and the rest is history. But we said, Congressman Payne, why didn't you, blow the whistle on that? I even had to do a rally at his office. It was an unpleasant moment. But Fidel's response was like, bring them to Cuba. Let me show them how we get down. And he nobody did that like Fidel. And, the school was already in place. There was already a relationship between Cuba and Venezuela and sharing oil in impoverished communities like the Bronx, right? And so this fresh push to bring Black and brown students from impoverished backgrounds to the medical school, right? He took that and totally just turned it on his head just with the facts, right? It was a powerful delegation. So that school is called ELAM, right? And that's the Spanish acronym or the Latin American Medical School, right? Has been turning out students for this is better. It's better than 25 years now. They've really been doing some good work. And there's a young filmmaking scholar also at Essex County College, Jennifer Wager, who did a critically acclaimed film on the school. And there's some stories. That's a wonderful diversion. I don't know how we got on that. I think when Umberto was talking about
Yeah.
doctors. That took me off on one of my favorite subjects.
But I mean, I tell you, Zaid, I'd love to talk to Dr. Sell's daughter though.
Yeah. I've been trying to pin it down. They got crazy orders. They got crazy hours. There's a young sister from here. I can't call her name out. That's like one of the point persons for how they recruit students, and have never been able to get her schedule freed up where she could come on or be on any other of the platforms that I work with. But yeah, we would love to have her. Yeah. So some great stories, man. Great work.
You know what she's practicing at and what type of medicine she practices?
I forgot. She's in New York. She's still relatively local. She's in New York still.
Okay.
I forget. Oh man. And I remember when she first started at. I think she was at. Oh man, one of the big hospitals in the Bronx. When she was, making that transition, coming back this way. But yeah, they're great stories.
But that would really be. I mean, that's what we need, Zaid, because I mean, here, man, there's so much racism. Even for Black doctors, right? They got an organization where they try to help each other and pull each other through. But I mean, it's just incredible. But so when you do find a Black doctor, it's like a diamond in the rough, man.
That's right.
That's
right. That's right. I had one, and she had movement ties. I don't know if can you remember Dr. Barbara Justice?
Yes, absolutely.
She was my doctor for a few minutes.
Where's she at? Where's she at now?
Located in California.
Oh wow.
I don't even know how to reach her. But we fell out of contact some years ago.
Oh yeah, I know her, man. She was on the board of Nairi, the school down in New Brunswick.
How about that?
And my nephew graduated from Nairi. That's how I know her. And she used to come on all the time with Imhotep Gary Bird.
Yes.
So, I mean, and she was spectacular, brother.
Yeah, sharp sister. She did a lot. What was the name of that treatment? Oh man, it was oh man, she was.
Weren't she doing something around AIDS back then?
Yes, I can't. There was a substance that has been found in, I think, Kenya.
Right.
Was being cultivated for medicine that I can't think of the name of it.
Right.
Or where the time is going. That's been a few years.
Yeah.
But she was in the middle of all that, right? She was Kwame's doctor. She got Kwame to Cuba when Kwame was fighting his cancer, right? I had a writer's workshop in New York at the time, and one of the sisters in my writer's workshop, she knew it. And when I got messed up in the hospital, and didn't have no doctors I could trust, she brought me right to Barbara Justice. And she was a doctor for a few years, and then she relocated to the West Coast. Right, she'll pop up every now and then. What's the name had her on his show? Dr. McIntosh. Dr. McIntosh has a show called Minefield.
Okay.
WBAI, and he had her on around the time he first started his show. That show was only like a couple years in. And I've been having trouble getting him. He struggles with StreamYard. I haven't been able to get him on our platform where he could be functional.
Right.
Yeah. She was a great story. She's a great story. Good sister. Very good sister.
But she didn't go to medical school though in Cuba, did she?
No. She went the conventional route.
Okay.
She went the conventional route, but she was very much in touch with what was going on in terms of what the Cubans were doing medically.
I do remember, Minister Farrakhan said some years ago.
Interferon was a treatment modality.
Okay, I remember that. Yeah. I remember that, and they took a lot of heat, and that was a cure.
Yeah,
and the fact that it wasn't FDA approved, so they were taking a lot of heat for it, man. I remember that.
They stepped out there with that.
Yeah. But what I was saying was, is I remember when Minister Farrakhan had went to Cuba, and he said that at that time Fidel Castro was alive, and he said Fidel Castro was making an offer for African Americans who wanted to go to medical school. He offered them an opportunity to come to Cuba and go to medical school.
Mm-hmm.
And Farrakhan was saying that it was one of the best medical schools in the world.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. He got the treatment, you know.
Yeah.
He went down and Fidel took care of him. He went down. Yeah. I remember when he went down to Cuba.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh? It is. It is. It's a great story. It is. It is really a great story, and it's characteristic of Cuba's commitment to what we call international human solidarity. When people need help, Cuba helps them. It ain't about, you know, we're socialists and you're not. It ain't about all that. You know, we find that, you know, you could work better when you know because socialists are more open. But no, it's not about all that. During COVID, they sent doctors develop their own vaccine and sent doctors to over 40 countries. And that even included some European countries for the first time. And you rarely see, you know, something coming out of the southern hemisphere going back to the northern hemisphere with an advance. That is like unheard of as far as they're concerned. But Italy and I think Greece made due note of the availability of those doctors being available, and and their own vaccine becoming available, right?
Yeah.
Plus all those other countries that they were in throughout the southern hemisphere, to where they get down. Special place, man.
Yeah, I remember when Bashir went there.
He had a good time.
He
Loved
did.
it.
He
That's
did.
right.
Yeah, he said it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I've never been to Cuba, man, but that's definitely on my bucket list. You know, to definitely make sure I get there. But remember, I mean, they were preventing folks from going to Cuba, man. You know.
Yeah, the way folks have been able to go legally is to go on educational tours. That's basically was the main one to go to. Or if you're doing anything that has any kind of commerce involved, you have to be licensed by the Treasury Department, right? And we had a whole operation called Pastors for Peace, the caravan to Cuba, that was created to challenge the licensing, because at that time, this is Reverend Lucius Walker, who's from Jersey, by the way, who passed away. It's Gail Walker's father, who's running Pastors for Peace at the time. In fact, Gail and I literally shaped out this concept when we were in Cuba together in the early 1990s. We brought it back to the States, and they built it out. This was a nonviolent direct action challenge to the licensing procedure, because they wanted to bring Bibles, humanitarian aid, and computers. And they said, no, you got to get a license to do that. They said, the hell with the license. And there would be these confrontations. They would get supplies, caravan from different cities all over the country, and these caravans would drive from the various corners of the country and meet up at the Texas border and try to bring their stuff into Mexico, and then from Mexico they would go over to Cuba, right? And there would be confrontations with the Treasury Department,
right,
at the border. And one year they actually took a school bus. We said, free the yellow school bus.
Wow.
Yeah, so the obstacles are silly. The whole world is, it's really only the U.S. and Israel that are trying to maintain this isolation of Cuba. The rest of the world is totally different direction. Very supportive of Cuba, very appreciative of their solidarity.
But I do remember during COVID, they were one of the first ones to come up with a vaccine. And while people were still dying in America, they refused to take the vaccine. Because they didn't want to give credit to Cuba.
Right.
Cuba was offering it to the world in order to help folks.
There's a treatment that's being looked at now for Alzheimer's. and this popped up on Twitter, right? And some Americans, and I ain't talking about Americans that look like you and me. I'm talking about regular, white, red, white folk, upper middle, prosperous
Right.
Americans on a delegation looking at this Alzheimer's treatment to help, modify the advance of Alzheimer's that they're developing, right? They're in Cuba now,
Hmm.
So it's like, so the U.S. in its backwardness and its arrogance really is a lot to be desired. As the old folks say, it's a sin and a shame.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you got to, people dying and you got a cure. And because of whatever racism you got or whatever hatred you got, you won't allow that into the marketplace. Well,
It's backwards.
what happened to the oath, do no harm, right? That's part of the Hippocratic Oath,
How about that? How about that? That's backwards.
Yeah. And so, but, again, we're talking about medicine, which is probably, the medical field, which is probably one of the richest fields in this country.
Indeed.
Right? Because, I mean, everything from a doctor's appointment to the medication they give you to the rehabilitation to the hospital, everything, man, it's trillions and trillions of dollars. And so that's why we'll never make healthcare really, a necessary freedom for everybody. I mean, you got other countries like Canada and Cuba and some other countries that are willing
healthcare free.
Yeah. Yeah.
Meanwhile, in the richest country on earth, you're gonna struggle if you ain't connected or gainfully employed.
Right. And if you don't have no money, I mean, remember, man, you can't even go see doctors without a copay. I mean, I was telling John Austin that recently, about my copay and of course, how that went up because of
they cut the subsidies.
Yeah. I mean, everything changed, because
big, beautiful bill.
Yeah. And remember, all of the money, Zaid, that he's getting, they're spending trillions of dollars on ICE. That's where the money's going. There's building up this private army.
ICE in Israel.
Yeah. I mean, I heard about this and I was like, whoa, man. So all of this money is being used to build up this private army. They're buying weapons like crazy. These people are going into neighborhoods, wearing masks and killing people.
They chased somebody and caused an accident. Somebody got killed in Newark a minute ago.
Oh, that person died?
I think so. Somebody did.
I know they ran into a car that had three
survived. There were kids in the car.
Right.
They survived, but I think so. I have to double check that. But it was, there are no guardrails on these jokers, right? I mean, the police have rules. They don't follow them when it comes to us, but at least they got rules, right? And we got a no chase law, right? These guys ain't, no guardrails, no rules, no regulations. They do what the hell they want on the full assumption that they have the fullest immunity for anything that they do in the so-called line of duty.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've never seen nothing like that, Zaid. And I'm just saying the amount of money, right? I mean, you think about all of this so-called tariffs, right? That the Supreme Court just shot down. We talk about all of that, and this, and you're like, because I heard that Kathy Hochul, governor in New York, she was saying she's asking for a refund, that people in New York should be refunded, But of course, old boy is not going to get that money back. Oh, no. That's not going to happen.
Oh And that's not going to happen.
So,
The thing to watch with the Supreme Court and to watch with him, and a bunch of folks are chiming in the chat about voter registration and voter education,
yeah.
and the turnout for 26 is whether or not they're going to steal it. There's a push being made to get him to do an executive order to take over the elections. Imagine that.
Oh, he's definitely going to do something, Jay, because he know that if he loses,
or the flood polling places with ICE agents.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're trying to see, what they did in Georgia, that was a rehearsal for what they want to do around the country with voting polls.
Yeah. They're going to do something, Zaid. You can believe that. Because, I was telling Kim today, the amount of questions that you get asked now when you do your taxes is ridiculous, Zaid. I filed Kim and my taxes today, and I got to tell you, man, it was a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
It never took me that long to file our taxes, and I've never had to give up that much personal identifiable information. Never.
I can dig it. I can dig it.
You literally had to give your driver's license, date, expiration, the number. And I've never done that, Zay.
Yeah. Never. Yeah, they want birth certificates and whatnot coming to the polls. It's more mess they're trying to pull together.
And really, Zaid, I'm telling you, all that is meant to frustrate you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to frustrate a lot of brothers and sisters. Be like, man, I ain't going through all that, because most of us don't want to be bothered.
Yeah,
we're trying to get more people to vote. We're not trying to get people not to vote. And what these people are doing is they're frustrating folks so that they don't vote.
Exactly right.
Which is absolutely incredible.
Exactly right.
And that's what it's coming to, man. Because I'm telling you, folks are being intimidated, and black folks, man. If we got something that's working, we don't want you to come and disturb what's working. The moment you disturb that and start asking us for more information, we bailing out, man.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what Trump is looking to do, and he's looking to do whatever criminal thing he can get away with, as far as this campaign is concerned. Because you can believe, Zaid, he knows that when the presidency is over, remember, he got 34 felony charges waiting for him in New York.
And as long as he's in office, he's got immunity.
That's right. They can't do nothing to him, but the day he leave office, he can be prosecuted.
Somebody should be coming for that behind. That's right.
So that's why he's never going to get, that's why he's telling folks that we cannot afford to give up the White House.
Yeah.
I need to stay president until I die. And, his whole family is doing an incredible money grab, right? And you even think about what Kushner's trying to do in Israel, what he's trying to do around the Palestinians. He's trying to take away they ain't even talking about it no more, right? Talking about all their land. He's trying to wipe them out, and he's trying to turn it into a beach country, man.
Big land grabbing a big money grab.
Yeah. That's
they're using their influence to put themselves at the top of the money grab.
Right.
But that's how this thing was built. This thing was built on that.
Indeed. That's what it's coming to.
And they're leaning on its most backwards and most violent roots. We got to amplify our strongest roots of resistance and check that mess before it gets too far out of line.
Zaid, I don't think anybody know where this country is headed in the next 3 years, man. It's just, the way it feels like we live in a total corrupt country, man. You know what I mean?
Corrupt and authoritarian.
Yeah. It just feels like it's out of control.
Oh, we got our next guest joining us.
What up, brothers? How's it going?
All
How you
right.
doing, brother?
Doing well, man. You know.
Dr. Kimble, welcome, brother. Welcome.
Hey, thank you very much, man. I appreciate the invitation.
All politics are local, sir.
Oh, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm from Chicago. That's very, very true.
Yeah. We were talking about Chicago a minute ago.
Oh, really?
But
All-
even before we
things
do
better
the
hope.
introduction, I'm going to say this, and we'll use that as a jump-off point for your conversation if we can. I've always said that Chicago may be our most militant city in this country.
Yeah, it seems like it. You know, we do our things every now and then. You know.
Not that it's not any less segregated, but its militants is
That is true.
deep and long.
And gentrification is a real thing, man. You know.
Goodness. Well, Doc, you come to us highly recommended by the great Jonathan Austin. I thought he would be on here to help actually do this conversation with us, but since he's not here, we are winding up Black History Month
Mm-hmm.
in its 100th iteration.
Yeah. I'm actually in DC right now with the Carter Woodson's Association. We have our 100th anniversary.
The ASALH.
Correct. Yep.
Association for the Study of Afro-American Life and History.
Yep.
Well, you got a lot to talk about then, brother.
Yeah, we have our luncheon tomorrow. So I flew in last night for that.
So in that, given the ridiculous hostility that we're facing now, hostility we haven't faced in quite some time, I would say, trying to be modest, what would you say is the state of our people trying to hold on to and maintain spaces in which we can teach and share and honor our history?
You know what? In all honesty, I don't really think that we're in a state much different than what we've always been. I think that at some points in time, we let our guard down a little bit and thought that everything was going to be okay. You know, but I think overall, I think the environment is still rather hostile to our history. It has been, you know, I think as someone who studies Black history, I think we've always had these fights to maintain these spaces in which our stories can be told. I think just now it's just more out in the open, you know, and I think the open hostility, you know, by those in higher education, those in the federal government and local government, I think we're still been fighting the same fight, and we're going to continue to fight it, you know.
Now, are you still at Chicago State?
I am. I've been there. This is my 20th year there. This is my 28th year teaching. And, you know, I think for me, the importance to be at Chicago State, I wanted to teach. So just full disclosure, I wasn't always a history person. I went to school to do engineering. So I went to University of Iowa, and I switched my major like halfway through my second year. So I thought it was shameful that I had to learn Black history from white people at this little white school. So I took it upon myself. I said, well, when I figured out what I want to do career-wise, I said I wanted to go to a place to teach my history and our history to people who look like me. I thought that was important. So that's part of the way I gave back. So I go to Chicago State. It's my hometown school, and I've been there ever since. You know, I've had opportunities to leave, but I just can't do it.
Mm-hmm. What has been, I mean, given the new climate and the new administration, and I don't know, right? What is the climate on at the school now for you? Has it shifted at all?
No, so they kind of leave us alone because, you know, it's funny. You know, with Illinois, with all of our problems politically, like we look at the conversation, like Illinois seems to be the adult in the room sometimes. You know, I think our governor is doing this thing. Him and Gavin Newsom are like really fighting the current administration. You know, like fighting them every day. So they largely left me alone. I think the only issue we had is that we had a couple of cultural centers. We had a Latino cultural center, Latino resource center, and an African American male resource center, which I'm in charge of now. So the only thing the university wanted to do would be preemptive. We just changed our name. We kept our mission. The African American Male Resource Center, we changed it to the Lead Institute, and we focus more on mentoring and advancement and helping guide Black men through the university. But I think one of the things we look at our mission is that we had a lot of sisters come through there, like the sororities would meet there, the National Council of Negro Women would meet there. So we largely changed our name to focus on, who we serve, but the mission is really the same. Get these black kids, in particular black men, through the university, mentor leadership opportunities, and so they can get out and graduate and go back into the world. But largely, man, they leave us alone.
You're fortunate.
Yeah.
We can't say that everywhere. I have my Babala was in at the University of Massachusetts, in the Boston wing of the University of Massachusetts, and they are giving the Africana Studies Department hell. They got a lawsuit going on, just trying to hold on to the position. And Boston ain't in Mississippi,
right?
Right.
Well, there are some issues up at Northern Illinois University, and they sued. Somebody sued them for their Black Male Initiative office up there. So I mean, it's going to be interesting, But I think we're ready for the fight. We have to be. I mean, that's our entire existence and our entire history of this country has been to fight. So, this is just par for the course.
And then you also involved with the Urban League, from what I'm saying.
Yeah, I moved away from that a little bit, but I think when I was there, I learned a lot about, I think when I first got there, we were working on our 2023 State of Black Chicago report. And I think one of the issues with all of the research came in that is like, the more things change, the more things stay the same. Chicago still has, and I think Black America still has these same conditions that have plagued us, disparities in housing and appraisals and education and, contact with police officers and healthcare, health disparities. So, all of these things, they're still impacting our communities, But I learned a lot working for the Urban League. And I think it was really good as a good place. I get into conversations with my friends who are in both history and in Black studies. I was trained in history, but I stick my toe in Black studies. And we always had these conversations about what are the difference between the two disciplines. Like, I think generically history is backwards looking. We're always concerned about what goes on in the past, right? And African American studies and Black studies are more forward looking. Like, how do we address history and philosophy and all that stuff, and political science, to address current situations and to project down the road? So I think working for places like the Urban League allowed me to blend both sides of the Black intellectual house together.
The practical space.
To talk about the roots problems, but also to help outline ways to move forward.
Urban League has been a very practical vehicle.
Yeah.
In our community for a long time. That's how they built their rep. We have a good Urban League here in our by county out here in Jersey.
Gotcha.
Our Newark Urban League is our Essex County Urban League.
Okay, yeah.
Tough sister Vivian Cox Frazier putting some good work.
Yeah.
Years, and of course, one of the first, manifestations of the Urban League in the country was right here in Newark.
Yeah, it's cool. Let me try to plug this computer up for a second. I'm using somebody else's computer. I don't want to die on you guys. So my computer was giving me all sorts of problems. So, but we all good now.
Yeah, so that's loaded. So now I'm loving your story. Out in the middle of some serious boonies out in Ohio.
And I was in Iowa. I was in Iowa, man. That's even worse. Yeah.
Yeah, there are about 12 of our folks out there. Maybe not.
Yeah, and they all play football. They all play They either play football or they wrestle. Yeah, but
in terms of the study, in terms of the tradition, in terms of your studies, who was your mentor? Who inspired you?
So there are a couple people. So I think on the Black side, right? I think I come from a tradition of Earl Lewis, Robin Kelly. My primary advisor is a guy named Bob Jefferson. I think people who helped shape me.
Kelly, I'm loving it. Go ahead, keep talking.
People who shaped me was Christopher Reed in Chicago, Mr. Black Chicago. I mean, that man has probably forgotten more stuff about Black history than most of us know in Chicago. Darlene Clark Hine was my person. Tamule Black, all Conrad Worrell, all these folks. When I came back and started doing my work, they all like wrapped their arms around me, and like say, hey, we're gonna, you're a brother from here, and we're gonna take you in. I think, meeting people like Darlene. I mean, Darlene is like the biggest name in Black women's history,
Yeah.
Jenna Ray McNeil, who was at North Carolina for a long time. She was a student of John Hope Franklin. So I think I've had a lot.
That's a range too. That's not just a number. That's a range.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've had a lot of people who like embrace me. And I think what I do now is that, being at Chicago State, recently we had a number of students end up leaving university with their master's degrees and going off to, research one of these institutions and getting their doctorate. So, I think I'm adding to that tree. And I think even being in Asala, mentoring a lot of these young folks who are coming through the ranks now, I think I'm part of that generation. I'm 50 years old. So a lot of us in our 50s, we came through Daryl Scott, who was our president for a long time here, another brother from Chicago. He's back on the board with me, but he brought a lot of us in to Asala. So, I just try to keep that line going, because, that I think I have a responsibility, right, to train and mentor and provide spaces for these young scholars to tell our stories some more.
Now this is a hip hop radio talk show, so you got folks on all levels of development.
Yeah.
Just we try and keep it basic and make it plain.
Yeah.
Let's take a step back and tell everybody about ASALA, the Association for the Study of Afro-American Life and History. Tell everybody just what that is and how open it is for support from folks who are scholars and not scholars.
Yeah. So the basic story, right? Carter G. Woodson, second Black person to give a PhD from Harvard. The first one, of course, being Dr. Du Bois, the father of Black studies. So Woodson is the first African-American, the first Black dude to get his PhD in history from Harvard, right? And he teaches a little bit, teaches high school, he goes to the Philippines, does some other stuff. But eventually he ends up in Chicago in 1915. This is the 50th anniversary. He's there for the 50th anniversary for the ending of slavery. All these states are doing like these huge celebrations. Illinois has one at this place called the Coliseum Auditorium. So anybody familiar with the landscape and geography of Chicago, it's right south of downtown Chicago. So really right in the whole business district, right? So he's there with a buddy of his from DC named William Hartgrove. And they're there selling posters and the like and doing some things. They go to this huge convention. He sees these thousands of people out there, looking at just how far Black folks have come in the 50 years since slavery. So in the meantime, right, he was a member of Omega Psi-Phi, and the Omegas have been talking about, starting this organization to talk about Black history, to, talk about it, publish and all other stuff. And part of his backstory, Woodson was a very intellectual guy. He loved to read books. My friends called him, he was a bibliophile. He loved books. He worked in the coal mines, went to school.
Yes.
But a lot of the old heads in the coal mine, he would read books to him. They knew this guy was something special. They read to him and, they share stuff at work. So when he's in Chicago, he's at one point at the University of Chicago doing some postgraduate work. He goes back to this place called the Wabash Avenue YMCA, which is our Black Y. The guy who funded that was Julius Rosenberg, the white guy who ran Sears.
Yes.
So Rosenberg bought the land for the Y and gave a lot of money for the Y, right? So and also he gave a lot of money for the first Black library in Chicago too. So Woodson goes to the Wabash Y. He and Hartgrove, and they meet with three Black guys, three brothers from Chicago. A.L. Jackson, who was running the YMCA at the time, eventually went and worked for the Urban League, I believe, and then or NAACP, and then comes back to run the Chicago Defender. James Stamps, who is an economist, Ivy League trained economist, and this guy George Cleveland Hall, who was a surgeon who took over Providence Hospital, our first Black teaching hospital, after Daniel Hill Williams, the surgeon, leaves and go back to DC. So these five guys get together in the Wabash Y, and they come up with the structure for the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. Right, we changed our name to African American Life and History in the 1970s. So the whole big fight. We can do a whole podcast on just the dysfunction of the Asala, up until very recently. But so he forms the association. He comes back to DC and incorporates the association. 3 years later, I believe 3 years later, he comes up with the structure for the Journal of Negro History, which is the main publication organ for the association, in which we think he writes a lot of the early articles on his pen names. 1926, he comes back to places like Chicago, and he declares, I think the second week in February, the week that coincides with Lincoln's birthday and Frederick Douglass's birthday, and calls that
Negro History
Week.
Yeah.
It becomes Black History Month in the 1970s when Gerald Ford declares, hey, February is now Black History Month. So one of the things I always like to say is that, white folks will say, oh, why don't we have a White History Month? Ha, ha, ha. And so the joke is February used to be American History Month, and people stopped celebrating it. So I say, yeah, y'all had a White History Month. Y'all didn't want it, so we took it. Right. So I don't say why we get the shortest month. That was strategic for Woodson, right? He picked that week for a reason.
Yes, he did.
And 110 years later, hey, we're still here. We have an annual conference every year. This year it's in Norfolk, and we have a Black History Luncheon. This is our 100th anniversary of the Black History Luncheon going on tomorrow afternoon.
What are some of the highlights for this year's conference?
Well, some of the big highlights, we're talking about Black historiography. How do we write about history, right? And we're doing a big celebration of this sister group called the Association for Black Women's Historians, and they've been around for a while, and they have a number of really, really good scholars who are attached to that. Francine Wilson and Darlene Clark Hines and Evelyn Brooks Higginbotham are some of the founders of that organization.
Tough sisters.
So they're celebrating the 305 books that have been published by their members in their very brief history. So we have that. We're talking about how we talk about history. We're doing a lot of stuff on citizenship and civil rights. So, the great thing about our conference is, like, if you go to these places and they have a theme to them and everyone try to stick so hard and rigid to the theme, that's never been what Asala has done. In full disclosure, I ran the conference for about 14 years. Right. So yeah, so it's like, but I think what the great thing is, sets the intellectual tone, how we think about Blackness during that particular year. Right. And I love it because it provides a really good space for young scholars, but people who aren't classically trained as historians or Black studies folks. We have a really good space for activists and community folks who want to come out to talk about things they're doing in the communities. And we're about 2,500 people in membership, and about half of those folks don't have a PhD or any type of higher training in history or Black studies. They come because they want to hear our people talk about who we are.
Yeah.
And as part of the conference, we have tours and the like. So a lot of folks come down. A lot of people are elders too. They come down. They want to do the historic tours, and they want to sit around and talk to PhDs. They want to talk and see what these young people are doing. So it's like a family reunion. That's what I like about it. And I don't belong to any of the white organizations. Asala is my home. This is the only place I spend my money. There was a conference in Chicago, the American Historical Association. They were there in January. I gave a paper. I didn't even register. I walked in, gave my paper, and left. So all my money goes to Asala.
That one of the things that we've always had this organic, and this is something that I find, and Ed, you can bear witness to what I'm saying because you know how I work in the community. Is there is a need to, in some places, to not allow our folks who are in the institutions to become disconnected from the community. Right? The relationship to the community has been organic and has driven, the field from its beginning.
Yeah.
And so but it's something that we're concerned with locally, that we're looking at locally, that we're a little concerned with.
Yeah.
So the place of Asala at this given moment is a hugely critically important one.
Yeah. And you know what? I was just thinking about some stuff, and I think the connection to the community is important. And it wasn't always like that. And I think the turning point was when Trayvon Martin was murdered by George Zimmerman. And that was one of the first times we were in Jackson.
Just yesterday.
Pardon me?
Anniversary was just yesterday.
Yeah.
February 26th.
And we had our conference there, and we were really at a crossroads. I think we were there, the Omegas were there, the National Council on Black Journalists were there, the NAACP, and that's when we were talking about whether or not we boycott Florida. Like Stevie Wonder did a boycott and all that stuff. And for an organization like ours, we do all this stuff with like 5 full-time staff people. And we figured if we boycotted and broke that contract, we would cease to exist.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what we did is that we went to Florida and we programmed around that travesty, that acquittal of Zimmerman, right? So we brought in the folks who were advocating for Trayvon's parents. We brought in Trayvon's parents, the lawyers, and we was like, look, we're gonna do like old fashioned teach-ins.
Yes, sir.
And at that moment, we decided that another thing we're going to do, we're going to support Black business. So we started connecting with Black businesses to say, hey, give us your restaurant or your store titles, your names, your address. We'll put them on a flyer, and we'll encourage our members to go. And they will kick them down like 5% discount, 10% discounts off the bill. So that's one of the things we've been doing since whenever, 2013 or whatever. We go to these places to support Black people, right? Last time we were in Jacksonville, that's when the state and the stances, whatever name, the Stalin, whatever we want to call it, governor, right? When he was banning books. So we went out to the park and we took all these banned books and we started reading. We had a read-in in the park. We don't. It's like we can't run from the fight anymore. We just can't say, well, I'm going to hang out in the university in the Ivory Tower and not do anything. We started a number of freedom schools, like old-fashioned freedom schools, to teach Black history to kids and give them resources and hire folks and give grants to teach our kids in our communities about our people, because they're not going to get it in school.
I ran one for 12 years.
Yeah, see?
That's just very dear to my heart. Yes.
Yeah. So some stuff we were talking about today. We're trying to start 5 more.
Awesome.
Let me ask you this question, my brother.
What you got?
I don't know if you recall. I don't know if you even know about it, but this happened maybe about 4 years ago, and Condoleezza Rice was on the show called A View.
Yeah.
And she was talking about the issue with teaching Black history is it is so raw, right?
Yeah.
And it is horrific if you're telling the truth about what happened to Black people in America. And she said that the problem with that is that if you taught that to white kids, that it would make them feel bad. It would make them feel guilty. And so she disagreed with African-American history being taught in its purest of forms. And so therefore, she didn't think there was a need for Black scholars to be educated on that level, but to be educated around American history.
Right.
And not so much around Black history.
Right.
Do you remember when she made that statement?
No, but it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me at all, because I think a lot of folks on the right and some people on the left feel the same way. But I'll just use a couple of analogies. Like, we've always been told to just forget about it. Right. Never tell the Jewish community. Never tell the Jewish community.
Long time ago, get over it.
Yeah, get over it. Right? Did we tell the Jewish folks to forget about the Holocaust? They say no. We don't forget. Always remember. Right? Do we tell our Palestinian brother, the Israel, to forget about the infantada? No, we say don't forget that stuff. Right? But for us, the thing is, forget about it. So what I tell my students, when I tell my graduate students, is, ever burned your finger on an iron or hot skillet or something when you're a kid, and you remember what that feeling feels like, right? There's a benefit to talking about pain and trauma, because that's how we learn.
Exactly.
Right? If we don't talk about the bad stuff that went on in our history, how can you ever learn from it? One of my good friends is a woman named Michelle Duster. And Michelle Duster is Ida B. Wells' great granddaughter.
Yes.
And we had a program one day, and she was talking about one of her latest books. And I think one of the person in the audience said, well, what do you do about all the things that Ida wasn't good at? I think, when most people are writing about their history and their family history, they want to talk about the good stuff. And Michelle said, well, I write about Ida, warts and all, because you learn a lot about this person, even talking about the things they weren't good at. Right? It's a learning experience there. So I think that's just People say, well, we don't talk about it, make white kids feel guilty. Well, they should,
Right.
because we're supposed to learn from our mistakes. And if you don't want to feel that way, do something different, do better.
Right.
I'm
Donald
gonna
Trump
tell you
also,
something. Let me
Donald
just
Trump also said that.
go ahead, Ed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Donald Trump also said that. He said that that's why, that stuff should be taken out of books, because what he said is that, the white kids that are on deck today did not do that to black people.
Right.
And so he felt that those books should be removed
Yeah.
that talked about that, because somehow, the Kirks of the world, these good old young white boys, don't need to know what their great grandparents did
Right.
to become wealthy in this country and who built this country. There was a conversation that Mayor Baraka was having on Paul Pierce show,
Mhm.
and he was having this Pierce Morgan. I'm sorry.
Okay.
He was having this conversation, and he was talking about who built America.
Right.
And the two young white girls who was on there was dumb as a doornail, man. Right? And the mayor was telling them that African Americans, the Chinese built the railroads, and
Right.
he was giving them the history. And these two white girls who seemed like they were bright about everything else, but when it came down to the history of black folks and the indigenous people of this country, they had absolutely no idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a concerted effort to keep us dumb. Because smart people ask too many questions. So if we keep allowing them to hide the truth from us, then it's easier to control folks. Why do you think slaves wanted to read so much? Right? Slaves wanted to read because they knew the truth was in those books. And when white folks, what Douglas said, when the paraphrase, like when Douglas knew how much his owner's brother did not want him to read, he knew that's when he wanted to read.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
But that's also a problem with some black folks, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some black folks don't want their children to know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. I mean, they'll say, listen, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want you to talk to my children about that.
Right.
Somehow they think that them not knowing is going to protect them in the real world.
Yeah.
Right. So when they get around white folks, all they know is American history.
Right.
No black history whatsoever.
They really don't know the American history.
And that's the irony about the story about Woodson, right? Because Woodson, his mission was someone told him that black people had no history.
Right.
Right. So he said, well, I'm going to prove you wrong. Like he and Du Bois, those are our two of our best and brightest. And they were fighting out there by themselves, trying to correct the wrongs. I teach, I know a lot of us know about the souls of black folks, Du Bois's work that a lot of people read. So when I teach that book, my students are, Dr. Kimble, this book is kind of dense. Why does he write that way? I said, well, it was easy. When he was writing it, he wanted to demonstrate to white people he was the smartest guy in the room, not the smartest black guy. He wanted to be the smartest guy in the room.
Right.
Right. And that's what he was doing, right? So, I don't know where we've gotten off track about wanting to teach our history, but I have a theory, right? Like I think we're all in the same general age group, right? And when we talk,
older than you, brother.
yeah, well, just follow me. I think we're all.
Glad.
So when I talked to my grandmother about what it was for her when she was 10 years old, she talked about segregation and Jim Crow. She talked about the stuff that her grandparents went through, right? When our children ask us about, like my kids who are, 19 and 16, when they ask me about what it is to be a kid, I talk about 1970s, how cool it was. These kids don't have the stories about the struggle anymore because some of us want to say, I want to put that struggle behind me. There's a benefit to learning about the Depression. There's a benefit about learning about what it was to be in the South in the 1930s and 1940s. because we realize where we don't want to be and just how far we come from. Right. And when you know where we come from, that's a sense of pride.
That's right.
Right. You know, we came from nothing. We took the leftovers of the pig, right, and made a delicacy of it with it. You know what I mean? This is what we've had, and look at where we come from. Look what we got. And I think there's something that goes on in the spirit and the consciousness of, you know, Black folk now, is that we bought into hyper capitalism. I want to be all this other stuff and forget all the stuff we didn't have, you know.
Let me ask you two.
I mean, that and, you know, most Black folks want to matriculate into popular culture.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You know, so they don't want to be the Black person in the room. You know, like Mayor Barack was the other night on Piers Morgan. You say something about Black people, and the mayor was, you know, they were saying some crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. So the mayor, you know, he was talking underneath his breath.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, and at some point they just had to say, "What'd you say?" And he was like, "That's crazy."
Yeah.
You know, but there are Black folks, and I'm talking about your age, my brother.
Yep.
Who got children who are 20 years old, who are, you know, 15, 16, you know, will tell you, don't talk to my kids about that stuff.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Don't give them no books about Black power.
Yeah.
Don't give them no books about Frederick Douglass.
Right.
I mean, this is realistic. This is real language. This is what's really happening.
Yeah, it is. You know, I had my son. He was having some disciplinary problems. You know, it's just two of us at home. It's just that, you know, single dad. He had, you know, one kid in college, one still in high school, and we were butting heads. So, you know, I didn't want to punish him no more. I said, hey man, so look, I wanted myself. I grabbed the autobiography of Malcolm X and tossed that and said, go read this. You know, because I refuse to be that person to let my young black boy, my young black young man out into the world not knowing.
You ain't gonna lose him. That's right. You ain't gonna lose him.
And my daughter, you know, proudly enough, my daughter is in school to be a high school history teacher, and she has a minor in African American studies.
She's gonna be awesome. We look forward to that.
Yeah.
Gonna be awesome.
So I'm very proud of it.
Austin has come. Jonathan, hey. And Madam Councilwoman has come. Oh, okay.
Yeah, she. And the party's over here.
So let me ask.
Hi, Dr. Kimble. How are you?
I'm doing well, sister. How are you?
I'm good. How's Chicago? You warm enough?
Yeah, you know, I'm in DC right now. So
okay.
Yeah, I left with a pea coat on and got here with a jacket on. So I think it should be all right when I get back. They said something about around the 60s. So, but you know, in Chicago, it's 35 degrees is a heat wave. We're outside barbecuing.
You left Chicago before you got to, they had the services for Dr. Jackson in Chicago, or then where they at now?
Well, they were in Chicago. I was actually talking. I was in a meeting today with a buddy of mine, John Adams, used to be the CFO there. So he knows Rev very well. So they doing some stuff last weekend, but they got some other stuff next week. I'm going to try to catch that. I was just running around crazy last week. So
incredible.
Well, I heard you guys talking about freedom schools, and I'm catching up. And Dr. Kimble, are you keeping up with the Obama, the museum, and how's that coming along?
Yeah, I am. I actually drive past it every day or every other day when I'm going to work. You know, not too far from my house. Yeah.
Okay. And so, which is the grand openings coming?
It is. They were talking. So, a colleague of mine, Kimble Phillips, is the executive director. So I talk to her quite often. And my mother was saying, "Oh, give you some tickets for the place." I said, "Mom, I'm not gonna ask somebody for tickets. I probably will anyway, but it's my mom. I can't say no if I know people, you know." But
you're gonna have to get tickets for the mom, right?
I gotta get tickets for mom, you know, because have her poke her chest out. Look what my son got for me.
Did they take Michelle's family home that they grew up and make that part of the museum?
I don't know. I never heard about that either, because I know it's quite a way away.
Okay.
Yeah. So
one of the things I wanted to ask you about was about Black History. It's Black History Month.
Mm-hmm.
The end of Black History Month, right? And the way that we've been teaching Black history often is about biographies. You learn about Martin Luther King. You learn
Right.
about Malcolm X. You learn
Right.
about Harriet Tubman. You learn about biographies.
Right.
Right? Do you think that we need to shift to talking about not just biographies, but strategies? Because each of those biographies has strategies, right?
Yeah.
What struck me with having conversations with various scholars is that the strategies are always wrapped up in how those individuals function, because they didn't function as individuals,
Right.
they functioned as part of communities.
Right.
And maybe the way that we're teaching Black history, there's a flaw in it, and that we're teaching it like an individualistic hero thing,
That's
Yeah.
very
as
good.
opposed to it is about learning strategies about, like, the history of our people is the history of freedom fighting.
Right.
Mhm.
Jonathan, let me add to
And
your
the strategies for that.
Let me add to your question, Jonathan, because one of my favorite books, and little brother, I want you to appreciate this. Vincent Harding's There Is a River.
Yes.
Mhm.
Right? And so go ahead now. You go ahead and respond, Brother Kim. We want to hear you on this one. It's great.
So I think you're right, but I think that there's a age appropriateness in introduction of history. I think biography has a place for younger people, right? But I think that we should and can build on understanding the depths of just what these folks were going through in the strategy they used to achieve their goals. So I think we have to do really both of those things at the same time.
Mhm.
You know, because I don't think that, and this is the criticism that the right has on what they you know, the demon, the boogeyman under the bed, DEI, right? Critical race theory. That's all over the place, right? And I think that's one of the things we have to be very careful of, is how do we introduce these topics to brains who are still forming. I think as kids get into, later years of high school, into, post-secondary school, right? I think that's the way we can start introducing more of these themes about resistance and collective action. And, and also one of the dangerous things, we still have these white folks still fighting the Cold War. And then when we started thinking about how Black people operated as a collective, that seems very much like socialism and communism in them, right? And that's another thing I think kicks off their animosity and fear about what we're learning. So I think we should be doing both, brother, at the same time. But I think
But in a more, like, how do you teach Martin Luther King without teaching civil disobedience? How do you teach Malcolm X without teaching Black empowerment or Black aesthetics, right?
Yeah.
Like, it seems like if we teach the biography without teaching the strategy, then because there's no, if you're a young kid, you can learn civil disobedience, right?
Right.
If you're a young kid, you can learn that debate. Like, what one of the things I do is when we're talking about the conventions, Dr. Kelly Harris, and one of the things I learned from Dr. Harris is the way in which conventions have shaped the African American experience since the beginning, right? Like, we were having conventions about how to end slavery, which means that the model of debate and discussion is rooted in African American history.
Right.
Like, we debate and discuss and then come up with plans of actions. These conventions are part of our history, but they're also strategy.
Right.
And those are great for young kids too.
And I guess I think we're saying the same thing. I think that understanding what did the person who took part in these conventions, for example, right? I think, again, we're saying the same thing. I think we talk about biography as a way to introduce these topics, right? And as they get older, we get more sophisticated in the way we talk about it, right?
Yes.
I think we can model a convention in middle school. We can't model a convention in primary school. I think it's much more difficult. So I don't disagree.
Yeah.
And full disclosure, Kelly is probably one of my best in the world. We worked together for a very, very long time in Chicago State.
Yeah, I figured that was going to ask you about Kelly. I figured.
But Jonathan and Dr. Kimble, is there, like, as we close, as before, I guess K through 12, before y'all go in the end of the year, as you getting ready to come back in the beginning of the year, I always say the first thing that when we get ready to open the school, it's Martin Luther King, then it's Black History, then it's Women's History Month. It's like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Is there, when you're teaching, and I think of Dr. Principal Kafeli, and he does a lot of teaching on how do you teach Black students, is there a school of thought that says when we come back in and we get ready to prepare for Dr. Martin Luther King 2027, is there one place that you might go to based on what's going on globally, how we would want to teach that in that said year or something? You know what I'm saying? Like, is there a school, a collective school of thought that say when we go into our classrooms, this is one curriculum that we want to bring down, how even though it's 2027, 1967 is just as relevant, you know, X amount of years later. Is there any place that, you know, somebody can pick up a curriculum and say, hey, you know?
Well, so I don't know, but here's what I'll offer, right? And this is going to come back to, this is like the elevator. It's going to come back to Asala, right? Because about 90 years ago, Mary McLeod Bethune, when Woodson died, became the next president of the association. But when she joined the association, she started the Negro History Bulletin. It's called the Black History Bulletin now.
Right.
And the Black History Bulletin is a magazine tailored for teachers, K through 12 teachers. And it offers that curriculum, I think what you're talking about, how to make the teaching of Black history, especially in the days immediately around Black History Month, how to do exactly what you're offering, what you're talking about, right? I think there are resources out there, but yeah, I've been in the university level all my life. So, but if I were to advise someone, I would say, hey, let's look at the bulletin, because we have a 90 plus years of curriculum around these such issues that you're talking about.
And I know I'm AME. Out of the convention every year, the AME Church, we have a social action mission for that year that it takes you out, and every church is almost on that social action. They take that forward for that year, that convention. You leave with that social action directive, and you try to incorporate it in everything that you do.
I was going to say it's interesting because I think that the more that we see what's going on now and what goes on every 20 years, like there, or every 10 years, or like there's always threats to our lives and our freedom.
Yep.
And it's the same threat, but different threat because it looks different. It's modeled different. There are different technologies that are used for it, right? People say we go from slavery to Jim Crow to the prison industrial complex. These things are all the ways in which white supremacy works on us. And we get it in different forms. We know, like, when they were talking about mass detention and using private prisons for immigration, we all knew that this was an attack on us too. Like, we knew that they will find some way to include us, even if they do a little bait and switch and make some people feel a little comfortable, like, oh, you're going after Latinos first, right? We were more offended than Latinos when Trump started talking about them, because we knew where it was going. Like, we knew, like, he went down, it was like, he said Mexicans are rapists and drug dealers. They send us their worst. Black people were more mad than Mexicans, right? Like, because we were just like, we know where this is coming. We know exactly what it is, what the genealogy is. You said what?
Some of us did.
Most of us did.
Yeah, because some of us bought into that thing hook, line, and sinker too. You know.
But demographically, most of us knew. Like more than any other demographic group. We're talking about like over 80%.
Yep.
Like in the first election, 80% in the second election among our demographic. Black women, 94%. Like, Black people, by and large, like, if you get over 60%, it's a landslide in anything, right? We go over 80. So we're not really, as a community, we're not fooled.
Yeah.
As a community, others were.
Yep.
Because their numbers were far more significant in other ways. And, you know, some of the highest numbers that Trump got in 2024 were among first-generation immigrants who did not realize that they were voting to have their husband or their family member deported. Right. And really more pressingly, they were voting to have themselves racially profiled and everyone around. Like, we knew we were going to catch it.
Right.
We knew black immigrants were going to catch it, immigrants from Africa,
Matter
immigrants
of
from the
time.
Caribbean. We knew Haitians. We knew that. We also knew that we all could be everybody on this call, right? All of us are citizens, but all of us can be looking like or racially profiled. If you look at us, we could be immigrants,
Yeah.
right? Like we could be stopped, and as has happened, as you know, in Chicago when they came in Chicago, they stopped African Americans, right? If we look at the history,
quick zip line down into an apartment building,
Right.
right in the middle of the black. I looked when I saw that because that's about 12 minutes from my
That's
house.
about men, women, and children.
And I drive past that place when I'm going to Indiana, and I'm like, "Come on, man!" They fast line rappelled off helicopters on this apartment building in the black neighborhood, black community,
right?
A solidly
And they had 5-year-olds, 4-year-olds coming out zip tied.
Yep,
That's right.
Yep,
zip tied kids.
It doesn't
walking
get more
out
clear. It doesn't get more clear than that.
Right. I think that we have to make a more concerted effort to forefront the strategies against oppression and everything we teach when we're talking about our history. I think that the like a lot of people are very comfortable with Black History Month, and the same way they deal with Women's History Month.
Right.
It's like, here are the women, here why are important. Women contributed. And I think that there's a difference between identity politics and a structural analysis. And I think that the way that we've been teaching women's history or African American history in a popular way has been more about identity politics, as in here's why Black people should be represented in history, right? We are worthy to be represented in history. Here are Black people who have done these scientific inventions. Here are Black, and all that representation stuff is good, but ultimately it mirrors a Western understanding of history, as in it's about great people and individuals, as opposed to here are the strategies that were used in corporate America. Here's the strategy Jesse Jackson used in terms of like looking at both culture, like his poetry, right? Like you are somebody, right? That is public poetry to create a multicultural or a lens of a multicultural democracy. And he leveraged capital, right? Because he went to corporations and he said, you'll have representation, but he understood that it was a structural representation because he had to go to these structures, the places with money, and force the places with money to hire people so the structure would change, right? Or the theory, right? The structure would change. It wouldn't just be about you have a job and you have a job and bump everybody else. It was you have access to education, you have access to these places, and it's a strategy, right? We use the courts as strategy. I hear so little of that right now.
Yeah.
In terms of our conversations about strategy, we had a really great Black History program today at Science, and I think that what I liked about it is that it was forefronting strategy.
Yeah.
It talked about the Black arts movement. It talked about histories of different types of resistance.
Yeah.
Right. It talked about music. It talked about culture as resistance. And it talked about how culture and the African diaspora and Blackness is diasporic. So in their thing about culture, they went from the blues all the way to different forms of Latin music. So it was they threw references to different pop culture from Sinner's music to Bad Bunny, and Bad Bunny is seen within the African diaspora. Right. Like that was very African in so many different parts, the dance, the culture, right? Like, and thinking and seeing these things as a global understanding of Blackness that speaks different languages, that has different nuances in different cultures. But ultimately, it needs to be pushed against white supremacy and colonialism.
Yeah. And that's the radical part of history that I think a lot of people are scared of, right? I think by and large, people like the safe stories, because it doesn't force people to think anymore and to be critical
or to do anything to change things structurally.
Right.
And where that got hot, the George Floyd summer.
Right.
My kids took to the streets. They were not by themselves.
No.
Right.
They had their white friends
Yep.
were with them.
Right.
Right.
And had an understanding of
that's
history
what really shook
and
the
strategy.
up.
They were like, we are imitating nonviolent resistance.
Yep.
Some were like, we are imitating agitation and uprising.
Yeah.
Like there were different models that were being used. And there was a different thinking behind it. Like you could disagree with people who burn stuff down, right? You're like, yo, that's wrong. That's not what we should do. But they're all in the conversation about liberation.
Yeah.
Right. And those were a lot of white people, and like people who consider themselves anti-fascist.
Right.
People who consider themselves, right, like just understanders of history. You had white people talking about settler colonialism.
Yeah.
Like and being versed on it. And you had a lot of other older white people being mad. Like that's crazy. How could you use the theory of settler colonialism to talk about what's going on in urban areas, or the connection between what's going on, what happened in Ferguson and what happened in Israel, and how military weapons and techniques are exported, right? Like those things, like when they're actually finding, when they're actually finding that these things are actually connected in terms of various forms of militarism, right? Like all of those things, white kids were up on.
And I think one of the places they get information from, it wasn't ironic that all of a sudden people turned on, they want to sell Twitter and they want to ban TikTok, because that's where these kids are communicating.
Yeah. Sell it so that it can be owned within the United States by billionaires who will program people so that what they will actually have is things that are controlled by billionaires, because ultimately, as some of my students are trying to argue, I'm a debate coach, and my students, it seems like one of the things that they are arguing at various times is they want to kill you physically, and they want to program you so you don't know how to resist.
Yeah. I think your students are very wise.
They got a great teacher. This guy, modest. He's a great teacher.
Yeah.
He's a great teacher. We're very proud of him. Let me ask you just one last question before we go. You're in Chicago.
Yep.
Chicago was home of the largest chapter of the Black Panther Party, and this is our 60th anniversary. Are you in touch with the work that Leela Wills has done to landmark the trail of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party?
So Leela and we talk mostly on Facebook. I haven't had the opportunity to meet her, but I really love her work, and I have been keeping up with what she's doing. And I think, I think those who are familiar with the story know between her and Chairman Fred Jr. I think that's a family squabble that shouldn't be out in public. But I'm very familiar with what Leela is doing. I think she's doing a fantastic job. I've been following her on social media for at least.
And she's not Dr. Leela Wills. She's a great example. Somebody who doesn't have advanced credentials, who understood how to practically do the work and really make something happen. I'm very proud of Leela.
Yeah, she's
the Black Panther Party. She was a prize cub. When I go to Detroit and Chicago, the elders surround me. We with Leela.
She's good. She does some really good work. I really admire the stuff she's doing.
Yeah.
Dr. Kimble, is this your first time here?
Yes.
I don't think so. Is it?
You were here in 2023.
That's what I thought.
Okay. Well, as we finish this session up, I would like to know, you remember the most important question that we asked. And as a reminder, this is a hip hop political show.
Right.
So when you're doing the work, whether you're going into the classroom or community, is there a hip hop artist, individual, or group that you listen to keep you inspired, that keeps you inspired?
So on my playlist, look, my girlfriend in the other room, she's probably listening. So I gotta put Jay on there. But for me, I'm a Public Enemy fan. Look, I
got so much trouble on my mind. Refuse to lose.
My political education came in 1987 when I first heard it takes a nation of millions to hold us back. I like, wow, this like blew my mind right there. But I like that stuff. But in truth be told, though, I got a 19-year-old kid at home, so I got some Lil Durk, I got some King Von, I got some shit like that on my playlist. So I'm very eclectic, man. I listen to like a lot of things, but I still say, rightly or wrongly, Man needs to be on the medication. Kanye West.
All
Kanye West.
all right, I got one more. Are you taking sides on this T.I. 50 Cent?
I would, you know what? I wouldn't go after 50 for anybody's money. That's going after 50 is like it's like trying to get a rap battle with Eminem. I'm not doing that. That's a losing proposition. You know, because 50 is petty, and I'm petty Pendergrass, but 50 is petty, and I would not take that man on for anything. I don't think T.I. is ready for him.
No,
Okay.
I think T.I. is ready for him lyrically.
Yeah,
I think because he tore like T.I. draked him.
yeah,
And he's either gonna have to have answers or not.
yeah.
And if Drake went, I'm gonna get a lawyer, right? Like
Yeah,
I think
that's so anti-hip hop. It's like
right. But I think that's the critique of 50, right?
Yeah.
Like if he doesn't answer in hip hop, if he tries to answer by flexing his muscle,
yeah,
like part of the criticism is kick a man when he's down. Yeah, that's not what are you doing, right? Like and called him a snitch. He said he worked for the feds.
yeah.
Like, yo, like if he got, and it seems like he got receipts.
Yeah.
For this.
Yeah.
And so, like the reason why you treat women like that is because you had no love from your mom. Like, yo.
Well, you know what, Dr. Jonathan, Dr. Khalfani's in the back. I don't know, Dr. Kimble, do you know Dr. Khalfani?
I don't.
Okay, you're both professors of Africana studies, and are y'all putting a curriculum around this? First, you got well, I'm sure there's been more rap battles, but more recently there was Kendrick and Drake. Now
in the battle, sister, that was a slaughter.
That was a slaughter. Okay, but
give it to Drake though. Here's what I will say about Drake. Drake is not scared to fight.
Yeah,
and he got one win.
Yeah.
But when he went against Pusha T, he got slaughtered. When he went against Common, he got slaughtered.
Yeah.
But and he went against Meek Mill and beat the living crap out of Meek Mill.
Yeah.
Like he owned Meek Mill. So I'm just saying, like, I give it to Drake because he's not scared to get into a fight, even though he got slaughtered. He didn't get slaughtered at first.
Yeah.
Remember, he made his album, and everybody was waiting for Kendrick to come out.
Right.
I was wondering what Kendrick was going to come out with. Because Drake was hitting everybody, like everybody was trying to jump him, and he was push-ups, right? Like he was getting them, right? He was winning.
Yeah.
He was winning until he wasn't.
I want to say one last thing about the rap battle.
Mm-hmm.
The best one ever, Gasoline. That, and I would go into my grave saying,
"Oh, Ice Cube."
Ice Cube ended the career of 4 dudes with one song.
All right. Well, y'all have to, Dr. Kimble.
Even though he did that line, "I'll never have dinner with the president," and that didn't age well. That didn't age well.
Not at all. No.
Well, Dr. Khalfani is at Essex County, and Dr. Khalfani, Dr. Kimble's at University of Chicago. Chicago State. So y'all have to connect. But
Chicago's my birthplace.
Oh, really? Where'd you go to high school, man? How long were you there for?
2 years. I grew up in LA.
Where'd your people live?
Well, we was in Cook County, so we right in the heart.
Oh yeah, see, I'm a South Side kid all day. You know what I mean? So
look at that. Well, what I would say to both of y'all is that this I don't want to. Music culture, and I guess it's always been like that, but Rutgers actually has a curriculum on Bad Bunny, and I know going back to Kendrick and Drake, there were several curriculums that came out as a result of Kendrick's a lot of his songs. So it's really interesting to see how you can take it from the from the studio to the classroom.
Well, we started. We used to have Hip Hop Education Week here. I don't know if y'all remember that. For years, we ran a Hip Hop Education Week program and incorporated folks internationally, domestically, and even the 24 hours of peace actually started in our conference room right here. So 24 hours of peace started right here at Essex County College. Now I wasn't the impetus of it, but we facilitated. They could, in the beginning, there was no space for it, everything. We did all the planning for like almost a year here in the Africana Institute. and really pushed everything forward, and it grew and did what it's doing. So now, but it's huge now in comparison to the way it started.
Yeah. Hey, people, I'm gonna have to check off here because
Okay.
I got to DC last night about midnight. I haven't eaten since lunchtime. So
Go do your thing. Go do your
Well,
thing.
you want a good place to eat. Go get you a good rest. There's some good places to eat down there. So
all right,
enjoy.
Very much.
All right, thanks. Good meeting you, brother.
This was awesome, man. I hope I get invited back. I love this. I
You're-
definitely follow.
Well, I
you
want to invite
Anytime
you
you
back
want
more
to come
often.
back, you come on.
Yeah, we're going to invite you back more often. We need our academics. We need y'all to come on more often. We need to have these, especially now. We need the analysis.
Yeah.
Right. We need the analysis because we need the blueprints, and we need to make sure that everybody knows what this is. Like when we're talking about mutual aid, when we talk about like all the things that are necessary in order to live in this time that got real fast for the rest of the country, even though it's been real for us.
Yeah.
Like, right.
But you guys got my information, got my phone number.
And to both of y'all, we need a Gary convention on every corner, in every college. So we got to keep, like Jonathan said, we got to keep this going.
Hey, brother, I'm down. I'm down for that.
Oh, okay. Well, go eat, and we'll make sure we'll bring you back, and we'll do a panel with both of you.
You bet. All right, take it easy, guys.
Thank you.
Good night. Happy Black History Month.
Thank you.
All right.
Good show. Good show. Good segment. Good segments. All right. Look who's back.
Welcome.
What's up? What's up?
Look
Glad to
who's
be here. How
back.
y'all doing?
Good, beloved.
Good.
Better to have you back.
Yes, sir.
Before you get started, I'm like, what's going on in West Orange? West Orange, every time you on the Sherry Shepherd show, you got a group of students step in. What's going on in West Orange? They are just
Yeah. Well, they my daughter was out in that most recent protest, and you had some parents out there acting a fool. I don't know if there was parents or not, but people out there, grown folks acting a fool, calling the young folks out their name and all kinds of stuff.
Whoa.
In all kinds of ways, because they were just offended. And then online, they've been ridiculous, saying, since when does walking out of school have anything to do with the First Amendment? And, just craziness. Because they don't have better to do.
I know that you're here to talk about the conference stuff that you're doing, but this West Orange thing, I had no idea. What's going on in West Orange? Like what the students are walking out, what are they walking out for?
Oh yeah, so
how's that response?
the students walked out the other day, I think it was last week Friday, and they were this is an ongoing protest for them. They're always, this is one group of young folks who've been on point. So previously they walked out for Palestine. This time it was about immigration, I believe it was, and ICE. It was about ICE. So they are on point and making sure that their voices are heard. And each time they've had grown folks acting a fool. Last time
when you say acting a fool, what do you mean?
Well, so in the last time they had basically some of the parents were what's a good way to put it? That the parents were coming to the school and coming in the building, and they had, and then they had to have the police come and all kinds of stuff because they were affronted by the students marching on behalf of Palestine. And so, you had some Jewish and other folks who didn't like that, and that's how they responded.
But when you say responded, like, I mean, I could see people going to the school and it's like they might be scared for safety because they're and a lot of times whenever there's a protest, there's been a lot of violence or potential violence or epithets against certain kids, Jewish kids. I mean, I can understand.
No, this was violence not against Jewish folks. This was violence against other folks who was there protesting about what Israel was doing. So it wasn't against Jewish folks. This has been the negative energy has been towards other folks.
Right, but what I'm saying is that, like, when you say acting a fool, are you saying like they were literally doing physical things to hurt and intimidate kids, or
definitely intimidating? You know, and like what some of the young folks said, it was, you know, the kids were marching, driving down the street. They were yelling out stuff. But I applaud the school. They had their public safety folks there. They had the West Orange PD marching with the kids. So the kids had support from the school, because I got a note from the school saying my daughter missed the last period, and I'm like, okay, well, why'd you miss? And she didn't tell me in advance that she does. So I told her, I said, whenever you go march, I said, let me know ahead of time. I got your back, but you got to let me know, because you know how these people can act sometimes. And you know, and having grown folks get in young folks' face, and you know, if you go online and you look at some of the comments, some of the overly pro police people and this, that, and the other, they've all been chastising, critiquing the students. Why is this? This has nothing to do with the First Amendment. That, you know, that is something that they're couching or contextualizing in something else. And they say that maybe it's some outside agitators who are doing the whole thing. So they're challenging the whole idea behind it, as if it might not be the young folks at the school who are behind it in the first place, but they are.
And those are common. And those are always very common.
And some parents possibly didn't know that their child was out there. Could that have been a problem too?
Oh, definitely.
Say that again. I didn't hear you.
Oh, definitely.
No,
like,
that some parents didn't know that their child was out there.
Oh, no, I didn't know my daughter was out there. So yeah. But
right.
Had I known, I would have given her the you know, the support she needed to make that happen, though.
But there are a lot of parents who feel whose politics is one way and their kids are a very different way, right? And especially on the issue of Israel Palestine, there are a lot of young kids, young white kids, young Christian kids, young Jewish kids, young Muslim kids. I mean, who are very, very pro-Palestinian, pro-state, and anti the Netanyahu government, and the way in which they have conducted themselves for the last 10 years, but really and especially in the last few. So it would not be surprising if there were a lot of kids whose politics was the opposite of their parents.
No, I don't doubt that that's the case. I just think that you know, some of what's talked about sometimes in West Orange is that, you know, we say that we're a multicultural this, but when the tension gets high, then that doesn't always present itself in that way.
The old privileged class raises their
right. Exactly.
Right.
But one thing that's interesting in that situation is that because they could have gone left in a very different way, right? Like if the school board hadn't acted, and the principal and the schools and even the police, it seems like in West Orange, they were all on the same page of protecting kids. Like when you were saying that adults were acting a fool, I was thinking that it was the adults with power and the guns and this is
bystander. This is bystander stuff. Yeah.
So I think it's important to note that distinction, because these kids, by and large, as you're describing it, it seems like they are by and large protected. Where is a difference, because like the Columbia University students are not protected, right? Like so in one hand, in South Orange, Columbia High School students might be protected, but Columbia University students are not, right? And I think it's important to understand the way institutions work in that. So you have a few people who are just mad, but they're not controlling the apparatus of the police. They're not controlling the apparatus of the schools. And those things, what you're pointing out, is people are being proactive and making sure kids have a space where they can vent and where they can.
And I'm not saying that those folks agree with the students. I'm just saying that they are allowing them in a protected way. And probably that's because when the Palestine protests happened, that they had a lot of pushback, both from parents and even some of the school administration people and other folks with some authority. And so then that pushback at that time, and then there was a lot of pushback from the community at city council meetings and everything else, at Board of Ed meetings, because they allowed students to be subjected to very uncomfortable experiences during the walkout with the Palestinian issue. So I think this is also partially a response by the school to that, so nothing, so that they wouldn't be culpable if something happened.
Right. Okay. And that's fair. So that's but you're here actually for a conference.
Well, hold up. Since y'all on this, he's got his daughter up in this. We need to have a conversation about how we can get his daughter and their crew on the show to talk about their protest themselves.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm sure that they would be open to that. Maybe I don't know if her or not, but but maybe I might be able to get her. I can get her to get her people to do that. So yeah, we can let's not, it won't happen today clearly, but something
Right.
in the future.
That's right.
Yeah, when we do that though, we of course every time we
And we're right on Women's
hopefully
History.
their parents would be on with them, or they would have to sign some media release, and it always gets a little more complicated when you have kids. But that's something we work out.
Well, if my
And
daughter,
Dr. Khalfani, we're right on Women's History Month. So if you want to have, the ladies represent, that would be, the young women, that would be nice, since we're right, next Friday, we'll walk right on upon Women's History Month. So.
Okay. I'll talk to her tonight.
All right, so I'm sorry about that. I just know West Orange is doing a lot going on.
That's all right. That's the vibration, and we needed to lean into that. That's great.
Yeah.
If you see me, talking against protests, I'm done.
Now,
y'all need to put me in the oven and then just turn the heat all the way up and throw me out the window.
Now, I know that one of the thing that because we don't want to use up all of our time, right? Because we only got 15 minutes left. We want to make sure that we get what we came here for. You have a conference on a symposium on traditional African religion.
Right, traditional African spirituality.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, I just put the link in the chat so people can you can share that with folks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
flyer on blast.
It won't let me post the flyer in there for some reason, but I just think that this is a great way for us to really.
Dr. Khalfani, send me the flyer to my phone and I'll get it for the page.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
I think that it's very cool. My brother is doing an app on IFA, and where people can find that information, et cetera. Yeah, so I'll share the app with you, and he'd love to get your feedback on it.
Okay, yeah. There's a couple of apps out on IFA now, and that would be great. We need more of them. The more we can get on a diversity of African spiritual systems, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
All right. EONA. Here we go. All right, Donna, I just sent it to, it didn't go. Let me try again.
So tell us about
so the conference this is the 8th annual. We've been doing this for 8 years now. And this is part of the Africana Institute's 25th anniversary. We're celebrating 25 years of the Africana Institute at Essex County College. So I've been the director for 20 of those 25 years, providing services and deep thinking, and conferences like this, and symposia, trips to the continent and elsewhere. So all of these things are things we've been doing for 25 years, because the director before me was Dr. Gunther. And so now, he was the director for 5 years, and I've been the director for 25.
Yeah, I was going to say that. So it's only been you and Dr. Gunther. Wow.
Yeah. And I was looking the other day. I was putting together a proposal the other day, and I was looking. There's only a handful of us who've been directors of Africana Studies or African Studies, Black Studies centers as long as I have. That the only people longer than me are Malefe Asante, Dr. J, and Malana Karenga, and maybe there might be one or two others, but I couldn't find any others in my search. So if anybody finds anything else, I'd be interested to know. but there's just a handful of us that have been around. I didn't really even know that I've been here for 20 years and thinking about it in that kind of context. So it's it's been glorious as far as I'm concerned. You know, we've had.
How long was Dr. Price at Rutgers?
I don't know, but it's that kind of center anyway. Though that was something very different.
Yeah, he
was the Africana Center. Okay.
He did an annual symposium, and you're seeing the second iteration of that now,
right?
And they named it after him. But he was in the history department. He was a fixture in Rutgers history department.
Yeah. So the Marion Thompson Wright lecture series.
Yes.
So that looks at Black history and culture, but it is not the exact same. I would not in my estimation. They do have an Africana Studies program there, but their director is fairly new, and that's a different program than what Dr. Price ran. So this conference is, to me, this is. I think it's a beautiful opportunity for us. What we're doing this time is that we're changing our approach, and what we're saying is this is spiritual power is the theme. Spiritual power, building healthy relationships amongst African traditional spiritual communities. So the point here is that how do we get to a place where all the differences within African spirituality, whether you're Isheshe, Karamble, Santeria, Lukami, Voodoo, Christianity. I'm still working on getting the Ethiopian Orthodox Church here. I have somebody who's coming who's a Rastafarian. I won't say preacher, but he's deep in the Rastafarian tradition. He's going to come talk about that. I have an Akan priest coming this time for the first time. I have somebody from who is a Sangoma from South Africa who's participating. I have folks from Brazil who are participating, from Burkina Faso who are participating, and then I have somebody from who else do I have? From the what is they're from the Senegalese and spiritual tradition. So, we're coming in deep, and we're going to, and I have a whole session I have who are people who are young priests. I mean, they're young in age, but they're young in their priesthood in African spirituality. So these different sessions are going to give us a great opportunity to really think about the power of African spirituality from a different context, right? What is it that we bring together, and how can we hope to bridge that gap in such a way that we create space for more brothers and sisters to be not only part of the tradition, but also not in conflict or in competition. Because one of the challenges we have is that a lot of times we end up in competition. Well, I'm doing this and I'm going to be against this person because of that, or I feel threatened by this person. Why do we always have to feel threatened and challenged and in conflict, as opposed to us working together to solve our collective challenges, our collective problems?
Absolutely.
And look at it from a completely different way of thinking about spirituality. It's like even in Christianity, you have all the different Christian folks who sometimes end up being against each other and in competition. But in reality, let's not be. When I went to Ethiopia last year, I came back with this and said, well, even if y'all gonna be in Ethiopia, let's talk about the African ways of looking at spirituality and see that the imagery is not just European in orientation, but they have African representations of the things that you look at, and that a lot of those predate those Eurocentric ideas about it in Christianity. So, we got to have a different mentality and approach to what we're doing.
Let me tell you something. This, and I'm sure you sound like you got your lineup all full already. But I heard you want to lift up, you're just lifting up the Egyptian Orthodox tradition. And, of course, my Baba Tony Menelik Vandermeer, right, was mentored by the great Queen Mother Moore, who was Ethiopian Orthodox Christian who would later become a Babalawo and Ifa. This is a great story, right?
Yeah. Sounds like it.
And I put in your ear, the great devotee Desire. So moving forward, we got some ideas we'd like to share.
She was actually at, I believe, the first or the second one. She's been here.
So. I thought so. I just couldn't remember. Yeah, because she, James Small.
He's going to be there.
And Devotee were the ones that really started helping me process in a practical way what that looks like. I mean, because we can use our spiritual systems to analyze and appreciate our reality, particularly our ancestors, in moving forward, right? I've always wanted to do, for example, a piece on Dr. King in Oshun. His whole connection with how he approached, his whole life developing that philosophy and being so spiritually grounded in it. What are its African dimensions and characteristics?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. And we can go on. I'm just using that as an example, right? About how we can, there's Jonathan at the end of our last segment was talking about how we teach our history, that we tend to teach it biographically centered as opposed to being teaching it strategically centered, right? There's a place for teaching our history through this particular lens, right? That allows us to do both, in my modest generals. I just wanted to just drop that in there just to emphasize the value of what you're doing. Now, you want to lift up who's coming? You mentioned folks coming from where, but
yes. I have a sheet up just to do that. Let me go back.
You said somebody from Burkina Faso?
Not coming, but they're gonna. So we're doing.
Virtual.
We're doing a hybrid. We've decided that works well for us because we have folks who want to participate from lots of different places. So we have somebody from Nigeria. This brother, I don't know if you've seen his stuff. His name is Tayo Bello, and he does the Wasir Wasiri thing. If you've seen his stuff on Instagram or wherever else, he does a great job providing historical insight to particularly to Yoruba history and culture, and spends a lot of time talking about the spiritual side of things. And then we have a brother from Togo who is going to be here, because folks from the continent can't really travel to the States. Do you know that the imposition that they have right now for folks coming from the continent?
That's real stuff.
First of all, the visa is almost $500, and then from many of those African countries, they have to make a bond between $5,000 to $15,000 before they can travel, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Right. So the possibility of some of those folks coming is slim to nil at this point.
Yeah. You got some real money to take care of all of that.
Well, because you can't assume that necessarily you're going to get your money back. That is one of the problems. Right. Okay. So let me finish running this. So then, brother Sedimoni from Lomé, Togo. He's got a session he's going to do for us. And then we have the brother from Burkina Faso is Kawanda Sabiu, and he's done some stuff for us before, and he's a founder of an organization there and doing a lot of good community work, and he's a scholar doing research as well. So he's been ongoing back and forth. So I'm in regular communication with him about the work that he's doing. And then we have Sister Nomsa Hawker. She came on before. She's a Sangoma from South Africa. And she did a beautiful session last time, and she's coming on again to do another session with us. And then we have a young brother who is, his name is Jelani, and he's part of the Senegalese tradition. And so he's gonna help us to understand what that is, how it plays itself out. And I'm putting him on a panel with some other folks. One with the brother from the Khan tradition. Now he's an older brother, but he's like 3 years in as a Komfo. And so they're going to be on a session together. And then I have brother Anton, who is used to live here in Jersey, but he lives down south now, and he's a recent initiate to IFA. And so, you know, I'm gonna put the three of them together so they can talk about
Survival Anton.
Anton Linder.
Oh no, that's
our former city attorney for the city of Orange.
Yeah, he's right. He's an attorney. Yeah.
Yes. And what's Anton going to be doing?
Talking about Yoruba.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Oh.
And then we got Nasut Bidi Sanku Kepper. He's coming from the Temple of Anu. He's going to be doing something for us. And I already mentioned that Baba James Small is going to be here. He's doing a session, and then Ifa Kunle, Chief Oluwa Ifa Kunle Adetutu, he's coming, and he's going to be doing a great say. He's part of the bread and butter of what the Africana Institute has for the African spirituality thing. Is, you know, this is our joint baby. You know what I'm saying? So he's you know, he did a great thing last. He wrote a book on bliss, it was called. And so his whole thing was about how do we spend so much time on trauma. Let's spend some time on joy. Yeah. So he wrote this book trying to get us to think outside the box and think about us in a blissful way. And I think that was a beautiful addition. So he's coming back, and this time he's talking about, let me pull up where is this thing? It's number 2. His is describing what a community looks like and building towards community structure. So he wants to help on the theme of the day, to how do we solidify what that is that we're searching for, right? And so those are some key things we need to do. And then we have this other brother who's coming, another brother. He's brother Eric. He's also with the Temple of Anu, but he's doing a different kind of a presentation. He's doing a musical presentation, and he's going to talk about. He's going to do a musical performance, in fact, and so he's using that as a space to talk about how the music is called. The title is called Beast Master, Fresh and Dogon. So that's going to be dope. So you know, these are the kind of ways, and there's a couple other folks in there. We get room. I got a couple of late proposals. And so there's another sister who wrote a book, and a couple other folks. I just haven't had a chance to see if I'm going to be able to squeeze everybody in or not. If not, we got room to do stuff for next year. We got a lot of room for teeth. And so this is that's basically what our lineup is. And you'll see the flyer will be out next week. We have a flyer, but it's going to have most of the names on it and stuff like that by next week. And then that's going to really kind of kick things into high gear.
Keep us posted. Keep us posted.
Yeah. We're also going to keep you posted. We're having a royal celebration on May the 14th. So we're going to have like a gala. It's called the Sankofa Royal Celebration and Dinner on May the 14th. So we want all y'all to come out and support. We're trying to raise some funds to really create an endowment for the Africana Institute so that we can think differently about how we do stuff. Because what happens with programs like this oftentimes is that for one reason, political or this, that, the other, the funding disappears. Yeah. And so in an effort to not allow that to become the reality, we're doing something to make sure that the Africana Institute is both stable and is long-term, thinking beyond me, right? So an endowment would be usable after I'm out of here, right? I've been here 20 years. I don't plan to be the director for another 20 years. I plan to coach and train somebody to become that so that we can get some other folks in here with some new ideas and new ways of thinking and doing, and you know, and they're going to have better knowledge, access of social media and this, that, and the other than I would, and let them do their thing. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Dr. Khalfani, do you know Professor Laree Favors from Mega Evers?
Laree Favor. No.
She's in okay. Lawrence, and you know, and I don't know if you're familiar with Urban View, Sirius XM, and all the lineups like Karen Hunter, like everybody that's on the channel. Well, Laree, because when you said Sankofa, they've been, in light of, you know, how things are dynamically changing, and created Sankofa circles is the term she used, and more intimate, but it's also a bigger thought in terms of what you were saying, endowment, like a whole school of like freedom schools, so that places where we can go that will be, like, as you said, beyond us right here, and that what we're teaching you, and it's actually getting back to, you know, how we used to tell each other more than we did the more current form of communicating, how we would get in, you know, intimate circles and talk, and that information would be passed on and everything. But they were also talking about using some of the resources that were more successful to us. And Zaid and they were talking briefly about it, like freedom schools and things like that, things that we have to do to build up our community and sustain. And when you said Sankofa, it just made me think about that, because it was the way of how she was talking about getting back to how we can discuss some of our strategies of sustainability more intimately.
Mm-hmm. No, we definitely, I mean, to me, Sankofa is the key, right? Is that we've got to contextualize that base, that if we know we've got to know where we've been to figure out where we're going, then that changes our dynamics about how we do what we do. And I think when we rethink our stuff, then we incorporate that history into it. But I think sometimes we fail in that we let that be we get stuck in history sometimes. So for me, as a sociologist, see, sometimes people think I'm a historian because I use a lot of history, but I'm a sociologist, right? Pan-African. Okay. And so I used history to contextualize and to build on the things and the pathways that we need to be headed down. So I'm using an analytical mind with history to do so. So I may not have all the names and dates for everybody, but I know a whole bunch about historical facts that can connect in ways that in things that we haven't thought, because we haven't seen the obvious underpinnings of what's going on, and we think that history, that maybe that historical fact that we found is the pathway, when it might be just a pathway, or it may have been a trick, and we need to look at a new pathway.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah,
Jonathan doing wardrobe changes. Go ahead.
We also, you know, I want to contextualize this into the when I came on last time, we talked about the trips that I had to the continent, right?
Yes, sir.
And just as an update there, on Saturday, I think it was the 14th of February. I think was it the 14th? Was the Saturday was the 14th?
14th was on the Saturday.
Okay, so then Sunday must have been the 15th then. So on Sunday, the 15th of February, the African Union adopted the Algiers Declaration that declared that colonialism was a crime against humanity. Right? So you had never had before that the full heads of state of Africa jointly agreed to sign off on a document like that, right? So we were there. I was there in the end of November, beginning of December, and we had the conference in Algeria, and the conference was talking about colonialism as a crime against humanity. Then the Algerian government ratified the document, and then when it went to the African Union, some people thought it wasn't going to pass. And they were thinking that, excuse me, that the whole thing might have been a waste. The whole thing might have been a waste of time. But I'm glad I was there and part of the construct of it, and that we now have it ratified. And now we just had another meeting in Ghana of the other body that I'm part of, and that's the African Union Committee of Experts on Reparations. Just had another meeting, met in December in Ethiopia, and then they had a meeting in Ghana a week ago. And so now all that's moving forward. We're supposed to have another meeting coming up back in Ethiopia. So this body is also called on by the African Union. So spirituality is a key to all of that stuff. So we've already said that this is an important part of it. So the African spirituality is not separate from these movements, and I think that's an important part. And I'm glad I was there to push that. Right, that was one of the things that I was pushing while we was there, is that we got to have African spirituality central to this. So the things that we're talking about in the conference were things that I was addressing in Algeria, Togo, and Ethiopia. And now I think sometimes it takes brothers from the diaspora to push some of these things in different ways.
Pan-African has been driven from the diaspora.
Yeah. It started, and I said that. I said Henry Sylvester Williams was
ID to Sylvester Williams, on and on. It's been driven by the diaspora.
Yep. And that you said, hey, Haiti or Haiti. The point was that we sometimes forget that really, when you think about 1804 and what happened immediately after, that was so Pan-Africanist that you can't even, we neglect to talk about it, because they minted coins for Africans. They said if your feet land in Haiti, that you was free. And so thousands, maybe people don't know this, but thousands of African Americans went to Haiti and got free. And we never talk about it.
That's right.
Right. And they went, and then they went down to South America and freed folks down there. Of course, the folks in South America turned on them, but that's a different story for another day.
Well, Dr. Khalfani, before you leave, you got Mama Africa up there and Sophia here. So before you leave, who you listening to when you moving all around doing this work?
All right. Actually, I might need to share screen for this, because I have a special song for y'all today. Y'all might want to check this out and tell me what you think. It'll just take 2 seconds.
Jonathan, we can't hear you.
We are actually bleeding over into our next section.
Okay, I will be.
Send a link for the stage.
Okay. Anyway, it's a song that I'm working on getting out there. I don't know if y'all can hear it or not, because sometimes when you're playing stuff and it's not.
Is it you rapping?
Can you hear that?
Freedom in sight. Fingers too strong. Prove them all wrong. Marco spoke truth, so John has stayed brave. Spirit of our ancestors, we honor what they gave. True Moja will transform, true Moja will rise. Unity is the power, see the fire in our eyes. Shango bring the thunder, Osha flow. Power bring the justice, let the whole world know. African people unite. African people unite.
Can you hear that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we got it.
Good. And we definitely are going to have to get you back on. Later, because Mama's gonna want to go to like 9:15. We're not doing it tonight, and we got our wonderful guest here, right?
All right.
So we gotta, she wanted to ask you about West Orange as opposed to this starting off. Just you know how Donna does.
And you got right too, but send us that so we can send it to Ryan when you're ready.
Thank you. Well, I got to finish getting my copyright stuff done first, but I'll figure that out.
Okay.
How you doing, Mama?
And Dr. Khalfani, don't forget to send me the flyer so we can put it up on the page.
I sent it to you already. I sent you the flyer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. It's on my page too.
And thank you again. And we're we're gonna have you back.
I'll check with y'all soon. Peace and blessings.
Thank you.
You're always welcome. You're always welcome.
All right. Odabo.
All right. Take care, man. Peace. Yeah. Y'all. You died. That's your fault too. You're like, I just got another song. That's your fault. These are your guests. We got Pam African here. We got Sophia here. We can talk about Mumia, and there you go. You'll be like, like another song? They just waiting here, all patient like.
There you go. Take it over, Zaid. Hello, Mama Africa. Hi, Sophia. Go ahead, Zaid.
Well, you see what Pam is wearing, right?
Good night. Good afternoon.
Pam repping for Malcolm. So that's a whole nother conversation. Don't get me started on that one. This year is the 60th anniversary of the mighty Black Panther Party. And one of the things that I'm personally doing as a veteran organizer on what's left of my walk in this year is trying to get my Panther elders and cubs to make sure that we're doing the energy of the 60th anniversary, turn that up as far as we can to bring more attention and more support to the plight of our Panther political prisoners and bring them closer to getting the hell out.
I can't hear you.
You can't hear, Pam? Can you hear now? We can see you all right. Can you hear me now? She can't hear. Stop, can you hear me?
You're fine. I'm hearing you fine.
Pam, can you hear us now?
Hold on.
Text her, tell her to go out and come back in.
Yeah.
Or just check the volume.
Is people speaking?
We hear you, but you're not hearing us.
Mama Africa, can you hear me?
No, she's not hearing any of us.
Okay.
Check your phone. Check your phone. I'm telling her to check her phone.
What?
Yeah, check her phone because I think Sophia's texting her, right? Yeah. All right, so you know what this means, Sophia. You got to carry this conversation.
Let me call her.
Go and come back?
Oh, yeah. Jonathan was supposed to, and I don't know how to do it, and I don't have controls. I don't have access to the controls. We were going to open this with one of Mumia's commentaries. We have not done that in this space. And the commentary, I'm trying to remember which one it was, but it was a commentary. It's commentary on capture.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, I can't see you.
But can you hear us?
I don't know what happened.
Can you hear us?
It's about studio for professionals. FaceTime.
Okay, let me get what Jonathan. Let me get what Jonathan is.
I went to go out
Zaid.
and I came back.
Yes,
and I couldn't get back.
Commentary.
I'm on your text page.
We hear you.
Go out and come back in. But okay, you don't have to see me. Let's talk.
If you can hear us, it's okay. We don't mind that. Can you hear us?
I don't think she can hear us. Mama Africa, can you hear us?
No, she can't hear us.
Jonathan, can you take her out so she can go back in? Can you take her out?
I can't hear y'all now.
Yeah.
Yeah, she can't hear us.
I think
Okay.
she can hear.
Okay, so Zaid, you and Sophia can continue, and she'll be coming back in. Go ahead, Zaid.
Yeah, no, I was going to ask Jonathan if he had that link that I sent him to the commentary.
Maybe.
I texted to you.
Yep, and I am getting ready to get it here if I can find it. I just sent it to myself. But continue the conversation. What were you talking about with Mumia?
Yeah, we were just getting to it, and we were dealing with the.
I know, but start the conversation. You were.
I was trying to introduce the segment to lift up its context of being in the context of the 60th anniversary of the Black Panther Party, and of the need from those of us who will be involved in all of that uplift to make sure that we're maximizing that time to build support for our Panther political prisoners who are still in prison, and then particularly Mumia Abu Jamal, Kamal Siddiqui, and Kenny Zulu Whitmore. And we've done some great things recently for Kamal and for Mumia, but their plight is still their plight, and there's a lot more work to do. Then we also have the the need to be to deal with the counter-revolutionary activity of the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. Mumia was convicted and sentenced to death. Oh, you got it. Go ahead. Let's let this run. This should have been the opening. It would have been much smoother. We could have had a smoother transition.
When you first hear about this so-called narco-terrorism arrest in Venezuela, I urge you to think back if you can, and you probably can research it online. Think of a name, Gary Webb of the Mercury News. This was a journalist in this small, tiny coastal newspaper who broke the story about the CIA running drugs in the Black community and other communities in California and across the nation, right? They were importing drugs and using the money to support the Contras, right? In South America, a war against Nicaragua by their neighbors. Think about the lives that were destroyed by those drugs so that the CIA could launch a drug war against Americans in America. Then ask yourself, who are the narco-terrorists and what happened to them? Were they marched into prison? Not yet, and it will never happen. When you hear the government tell you something and you think it's not so, check it out, and 9 times out of 10, you'll find it's not so. Narco-terrorism is just a political pretext to sell the war to frightened, anxious people. Because you know, in your guts, in your heart, in your mind, that the attack on Venezuela was about getting oil. Because the biggest reserves of petroleum on earth are under the soil of Venezuela. With love, not fear. This is Mumia Abu Jamal. These commentaries are recorded by Prison Radio.
Right on, right on. That's, you know, we used to, in the glory days of a show that used to be called Where We Live by my late comrade Sally O'Brien. Sally would open her show every week for decades with one of Mumia's commentaries, right? And I was hoping that we could have just opened this segment. That would have been a great way to open this segment with that to set the tone for it, because for all of the work that some of us have done in this area around Mumia, there are still people who have not heard him, have not read him, they have not got in touch with just how incredible a communicator he is. And in spite of all that he is going through with his health and his ordeal in that horrible prison that he is in, he is still pumping out the unique way he has served the people since he was 15 years old. 15 years old, writing for the Black Panther newspaper. So I wanted folks to get a taste of that. And of course, it's usually on topic. But these crazy folks don't just pull us out of cars and shoot us down in the street because we not white and don't look American, you know, in our cities. They're doing that around the country. They literally kidnapped.
Right.
They snatched President Maduro, beat up his wife. Did you see her when they brought her in public? After they beat the hell out of that poor woman. No regard whatsoever for international law or national sovereignty. And the first thing they did, and the main thing they did, was take control of that country's oil. And what they wanted it for years. Right? So Mumia is still our voice of the voiceless in the unique, incredible, and particularly high caliber way that he has always been, and why he is so much of a threat to establishment circles with his analysis, with his voice, and with his people's journalism, right? Now, having said that, we got stuff going on around him that needs attention. Sophia, I didn't send it out to everybody yet in our circle, but yesterday I sent a letter out on behalf of the Malcolm X Commemoration Committee, raising up our updated concerns about the medical he needs for his eyesight. Bring us on in and up to date with what we're talking about here.
Yeah, so I really thank you, Baba Zaid, for your commentary. I thank the host and everyone here for really being such a great space for us to talk different topics and just bring a plethora of people here on your show each Friday. And I thoroughly try to tune in and just learn a lot about various focus points in our world at the moment. So with Mumia, for some time now, people have been seeing the efforts made on the email fronts, on the phone call fronts about his eyesight. And one thing I must share with people is that it's the people's work, it's the people's effort, it's the constant barraging of the prison that got Mumia the treatment, well, not treatment, the first procedure that he had later last year. But it still wasn't finished for him. He still needed another eye that needed to be worked on. Mumia went nearly blind deliberately. They kept on giving him a promise of another date that they'll see him. And this has been happening from early last year. And the more time went on was the more he got very ill in his eyes. And as people may or may not know, he is in school. He is studying for his PhD. And it's important
trying to get his PhD on Frantz Fanon.
Yes. And I mean, how can you read and study and write if you don't have your eyesight? So we know that they are not making games. They're not doing this unconsciously. They're doing it purposely. They want Mumia to sit there and be silenced. And so when we got word that unfortunately he's in a very bad state, the movement stood up as it always have. We started to make calls. We started to write emails. Many of us, couple weekends after another, took time to go to the prison and to be there in person outside on the street demanding that he is seen. And right after a couple of those in-person visits and holding signs and having to interact with prison officials, Mumia did get one of his eyes treated. And so we found out actually during the march, I think during the middle part of the march, which was from November 28th until December 9th. So maybe towards the middle.
What march you talking about? Y'all had a march?
We had a march. I wonder who was the person leading the march, every single day. But yeah, we'll get to the march in a second. But sometime during the march, we heard that there was another procedure on the other eye. But the thing is, Mumia needs more than just procedures on his eyes. He needs treatments. He needs special eye specialists who can treat him specifically for the conditions that he has. I'm negating on the proper pronunciation of the term, but we can get all that information out to your audience. So what we're seeking now is the right appropriate specialist to
he needs a retinopolist.
That word, yes.
Right?
Yes, so that's the condition.
And he needs somebody he needs a glaucoma specialist because those are the two conditions he's
a retinal specialist and glaucoma specialist. So we need people that we can trust that can really not just do their jobs, but advocate for Mumia. And so that's the process we're in. We have Dr. Ricardo Alvarez, who is Mumia's chosen medical professional, who I found out today is his last day on the job as a professional.
He's with us today. He's literally doing his clinic right now.
Yes, he's the last day on the job. He's officially retired after this. So now we'll have him more to be a part of this work and ongoing work for Mumia. So Dr. Ricardo Alvarez is on the job, as well as Noel Hanrahan and many others or behind the scenes, such as Mama Pam Africa, who is ensuring that this does not continue this way. So we have an action alert that's out right now, and we are asking people to call the superintendent of the prisons, the DOC prisons. We're asking the folks to call the prison itself, and we're asking people to just put the pressure on, because this is what they do every time. And every time we put the pressure on, they have to move. So they know that we're watching, and they know that we're very serious. So that's where we're at right now with Mumia. But as always, it doesn't break Mumia's spirit. He continues to do what he can in the capacity that he has. And this is exactly why he's such a powerful force.
If you can put the link in the chat for the action alert, Sophia, that would help too. You're more than welcome to do that. I want to lift up some things also that are going to be coming our way, that some of us are going to be responding to the Mumia's latest book, Beneath the Mountain, a reader from America's prisons. We're going to host something of this way for Mumia very soon. I had to slow down a little bit because of my own personal situation, going through some stuff, but that's beginning to restabilize a little bit. But that will be one of the things that we'll be doing to mark the anniversary of the party, the 60th anniversary of the party. I was also trying to get some young folks that I'm very proud of who are doing work on the national front on that. There's a young brother who's head of the new Black Panther Museum in Oakland. His name is Xavier Buck. And I mentioned Leela Wills earlier in the show, who created a trail of historical landmarks that carries the history of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party. The Illinois chapter was the largest chapter. We just lost a brother who was in the Philly chapter, Brother Khalid Rahim, and the Philly chapter, Quiet as Kept, had 5 different locations throughout the city. And the Philly chapter came under very heavy scrutiny when there was the call for the 1970 Revolutionary Constitutional Convention. Right, the Philly chapter went through. Frank Risso and his police put the Philly chapter through hell. So there's so many places, so many potential touch points that we can lift up the party's history and use that time, use those spaces to amplify the call to get our Panther freedom fighters free. We met an incredible sister that I don't think you were with us at the time when we did that. You joined us at different intervals when we did the long march, and that was a 103-mile march from Philadelphia all the way up to Mumia's prison in Mahanoy, Pennsylvania. But in the middle of that, in Reading, Pennsylvania, an elder clergy person came out and said, there, "What y'all doing?" Well, we're trying to put some pressure on the governor and whatnot on Mumia. She said, "Well, she pulled out her phone and called the governor's office right away." The name was Reverend Evelyn Morrison, who happened to be a young person once upon a time in the Reading chapter of the Black Panther Party. Black Panther Party had chapters all over the country. Who knew there was a Reading chapter of the Black Panther Party? But we got black folks and we got brown folks in Reading, Pennsylvania.
Who knew?
Yeah. So yes.
Yeah, I've heard Reading is really it's really a strong
working class history.
Yeah. I was surprised, and after hearing that, I realized that we have to. That's the area too. Another area we have to continue to build with after the march, and because they're not spoken about the way Philadelphia is, there may be issues and things happening right now that we should connect with and build that out. Yeah.
Our political prisoners, and I'm talking really now, especially.
Was that Mumia's voice when you played the clip?
That was Mumia. So you never heard Mumia before?
No, I haven't.
That's my point. You don't get that voice, though, are you?
No, I'm not. Very, yes, a very, very distinguished radio voice.
Oh my God, right?
Mhm.
And he'd been talking like that since he was a teenager. Can you imagine?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know when I heard him on my first time hearing him was in the classroom when I took Dr.
That's right.
Fernandez.
You one of Johanna Fernandez's student, ain't you?
That's how I came to be. I have to say that I was a lost
Crazy
soul when I
teacher.
became found.
Crazy teacher.
Yeah. So it started with her, and I'm ever so grateful in being into that class, because I realized how lost I was and became found. The things that I thought I understood, or I just understood because I heard it and just took up whatever, whatever your family was saying or whatever the media was saying. And for me, I didn't understand many things. But
How long that's how you a baby to us, right? How long ago was that for you?
that was 2011, the fall semester.
I can remember the day that I met Johanna. We had this was a small rally that we did in Harlem on 7th Avenue. And this, demure, beautiful little sister just walked up with about 5 or 6 of her students. They were like her little cubs, right? And they participated in the rally. And within a few months, she had out she had out her first film on Mumia. She came in very quiet and very, but when she started working, she started banging work out, banging incredible work out.
Sophia, like, where in the Caribbean are you from?
I'm from Jamaica.
Yes. Yeah, I hear it. My grandfather's from Jamaica. And so my grandfather was a Garveyite. Were the family members, the teachers of Garvey, did y'all do that?
No, that's the crazy thing. We never, I never grew up on learning that history like I would have wanted to. But I know that my grandfather, he's of the Maroon heritage. As a matter of fact, my grandmother still is. The Maroon location is right over the hills. The hillside.
Up in the hills, okay. Yeah, I was going to ask because, being under, listening to Mumia, and, if you had known that history, or even the Maroon, how does it align, or, is there any similarities,
Yeah, there's so much, and I have to kick myself sometimes because I need to do more reading, more understanding of the Maroon history and how does it connect. But the little that I know, and then knowing what I know about Mumia for so long, there's so many connections, and just thinking back to Garvey and to Malcolm X, and so often I'm caught up in circles comparing Malcolm to Martin, and it's just a lot.
Because who is it? Malcolm's mom was Caribbean, right?
His mother's from Grenada.
Yes, and I said,
not only was she from Grenada.
Mm-hmm.
She wrote for the UNIA. She wrote for Mr. Garvey's newspaper, right?
Right.
So trusted a Garveyite. She and her husband belonged to an underground arm of the UNIA that often protected Mr. Garvey when he was being pursued by authorities, because he wasn't just hassled in the United States. Why does this kept? He was hassled in Canada. He had a very serious following in Canada. Malcolm's mother and father met and married in Montreal.
Yeah, and I asked because from the history, and as people of color were so disconnected and not connected, especially because I was just listening to a lecture the other day, and there was a group of Jamaicans who left to go to Europe to help build that up, and I forgot what they're called. But they're not going over.
First generation after World War II,
What did you say, Jay?
The Windrush generation.
That's what I'm talking about, the Windrush generation. Yeah. But what was interesting, because my grandfather, when he left Jamaica, he went to Cuba and had to stay in Cuba for 3 years, and then he came to Orange, New Jersey. And when I was listening to that lecture and I heard about the Windrush generation, it had me go look, and there was a boat that left Jamaica that stopped in Cuba, and we didn't understand. Like my brother has my grandfather's his book when he was studying under Garvey. He has that book with all his notes and everything in it.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's but to understand that the for the people that on that boat that's possibly, you know, the connection, because we didn't understand why he had to spend 3 years in Cuba to get to America.
As the largest UNIA chapter outside of the United States.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, so the story, and I'm asking you, listen, because all these stories come together.
Exactly.
Cuba was a settler colonial state. 1884 is when slavery ended, almost 20 years after the U.S. Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Brazil,
1888, 4 years later.
Right.
Those are settler colonial states. The most violent expressions of colonialism and slavery was settler colonialism. In spite of that history, Cuba had this revolution that turned that history on its head. Jonathan, I know you try to jump in here.
I was looking, I was like, where is he at?
Conversation and bring Cuba into it too. I got to turn it all the way up, you know.
So, Sophie, we're going to have a conversation about the Windrush generation and all that, and Garvey. Okay. We're going to have to prepare you for that.
Zaid is a big teacher to me, so we have to have a serious conversation here, Baba.
Yes, we have to return to have a conversation. We have to schedule and bring everyone back.
Sophie, when you're doing the work that you do, is there a hip hop artist or individual that you listen to? Or is there anybody that you listen to?
Actually, as of today, since I heard the passing of Neil Sedaka, I've been listening to a couple of his songs like Laughter in the Rain, and then I got into the Peter Cetera's and the Kenny Loggins.
Okay.
I've met Neil Sedaka. I didn't realize he was that old.
Yeah, 86. So
wow.
I've been listening to their music for a minute, but since I heard of his passing, I was tuned into some of that and Elton John, and it just took me back, you know.
Okay.
Well, artists, it just depends. It really depends. I'm kind of
Sedaka. That's way before your time, child.
I know I'm an old school person, man. Yeah. But I really thank you guys for this show.
Thank you.
You know, I learn a lot sometimes about the New Jersey politics and what's happening locally, so that's great.
What were you saying, Jonathan?
I was going to say we have to have you back on, and we really have to have you on more often because we learn from you as well.
Thank you. Blessings.
Thanks. And tell Mama Africa we sorry didn't get the hookup going, but tell her we love her.
Yes, I'll pass the message.
Probably should have did it from her phone. She asked me to send it to her phone, and I did. And then she tried to do it from the laptop, and
everything changed.
Older we get, the more we struggle with this stuff called technology.
Fair enough. Well, I want to thank all our guests for coming on.
And Jonathan would say, Sophie, breaking up is hard to do. So that's Neil Sedaka's big. But thank you.
We definitely want to thank all our guests for coming on today.
All right.
For the disciples, we want to thank our esteemed academics for coming on
Brother Kimble
today and having the conversations about Black history and having the conversations about traditional African religion. So Dr. Lionel Kimble Jr. and Dr. Akil Khalfani. And of course, thank you to Sophia Williams and Time Africa. So until next week, we will see you soon. Take care and good night.